Good morning. We're going to call our city council meeting to order. This is a regular city council meeting. This is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, 9 a.m. We are in the city public works building. We're going to stand for invocation, followed by the pledge.
Father, we thank you for this day. We come to you in the name of your son Jesus, and we just ask you to be with us. We first want to give thanksgiving, Lord, to all your many blessings. Lord, all the things that you've done, Lord, we're so unthankful, many times unthankful, but we want you to know today that we desire your presence. We are truly thankful to live in the greatest nation there's ever been. We ask you to bless this meeting. We ask you to bless this city, Lord, and we ask that your Holy Spirit will guide us and direct us in everything that's said and done. In Christ's name we pray, Father.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Candy, call the roll, please.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Hamilton. Here. Mr. Lally.
Here.
Mr. Wolf.
Here.
Okay. We're moving on to our regular agenda items. The first item is our employee of the month for September and October.
Good morning, council. Good morning, everyone. This morning I had the pleasure of having one of the employees of the month, and I'm glad me and Peggy went first, ladies first, but I want to say something. Peggy's been with us now for, what, Peggy, 5 years? Long time. She came here right after Hurricane Michael. She was what we had a grant funded that we got about 5 or 6 people that came help clean Mexico Beach up. Peggy was one of those with QLM that came over here to do that, and she's remarkable. There was, after the grant fund ran out, we had about 3 openings, and I was able to hire 3 of those QLM people. And one of them works in the utility department now, and I got Peggy, and one's left. But I want to say this, you're not going to see a harder working lady than this lady standing beside me. First thing when Chris came here, he told me, he said, man, I see the young girl out all the time, and said every time I see her, she's got a weed eater in her hand, she's in a ditch, she's doing something. She is a tremendous asset for the city of Mexico Beach. And it is my pleasure to present you, Peggy, a plaque for Employee of the Month.
Thank you.
You deserve that. Take that, but something else. This one's probably more important than the plaque. I've got a certificate for a full day off. Not half a day, not 3/4 of a day, but a full day off. And you'll get I think there's a little something goes in your paycheck along with this, but it's my pleasure to present this to you, and like I said,
Thank
you have done a tremendous job for the city of Mexico Beach, and you're a pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
For the past few months, I've been giving out T-shirts for Employee of the Month. So here's your T-shirt. I hope you wear it with pride.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
We
Okay,
appreciate
you gotta
all you
say
do.
something now. I know you're not any words, you gotta say something.
Thank you. It's been a very pleasure to work with the city of Mexico Beach, and I'm very grateful and very honored to call the city of Mexico Beach my family, and my home is where I work at. Thank you.
Good job.
Can't hide behind that. I too am truly blessed to have such a good department, and not just our department. This whole city works good together. I told someone, I said, we growl at each other a little bit, It's at the end of the day, we come together and we work, and I appreciate all these, but Garrett is a very good employee. He applies himself. He don't cut corners. He tries to do his job. He works hard, and I know that most of you are aware that he has passed his Class C drinking water license, and they accepted his experience, and he is a certified operator, so I can take a day off.
Thank you.
We will accept yours.
I just want to say thank you for helping me study to get that test out the way and, helping me pass it. That math was a big, was a big area, a great area that I need help with, and you helped me with it, Mr. Glenn, and I appreciate that.
And Gary, I couldn't be an employee of the month when I have to give you this.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate it.
What's the say, Garrett?
I think you need to not let it on come back in.
Let's see.
And you thought it was all over, didn't you? Morning. So again, you may have seen earlier this month, or in fact last month, that these two gentlemen were promoted from firefighter EMT to engineer EMT, which basically means now that they are solely responsible for the vehicles that we use on a daily basis to keep them fit and ready to go. And to do all of that, they had to go through numerous different courses. And again, just like Garrett did, finish up with the state test to be certified as driver operators. So it's with my pleasure that I thank both Engineer Gallagher and Engineer McGann for what they've done for me and for the city. They, like everybody else, will get a nice plaque to commemorate it. You have to put more rooms or build more walls in your houses for them. And that was yours, sir. And I'm going to keep these because I need a time off. And likewise, you get a day off.
So that means I can leave then?
That means
I can go home.
Absolutely. But I just, it's a big thank you from me for all the hard work that you guys have put in. And it's also a thank you from the city and from the citizens. So congratulations.
Not be here without you guys. Y'all are such a blessing to us, and for y'all to go above and beyond. I got you a nice blanket. I thought that would make sure. Is it right side up? It is.
That's really cool.
So I hope y'all enjoy these throws. If you don't, your wife will.
My daughter will.
But
She'll steal this as soon as I come home.
that's what I do, so make it one, somebody steals it from me. But I appreciate y'all both
Thank you.
for going above and beyond for the city.
Thank you.
Okay, you can't beat that. How can you follow that and do any better? That's such a blessing then. Okay, as we continue on our regular agenda, Mark Garrison, KK Storm, he has emailed us and asked us to postpone this item until 11/28 meeting. I just need a motion to postpone this until 11/28.
Make a motion that we postpone it to 11/28, meeting with God.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Tammy call the roll.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Welly,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Mayor, if I can make a comment about that? I've been in touch with Mark Garrison this morning. I should say he's been in touch with me, and with all the emails that he sent each of us regarding this issue, He has decided that due to the amount of items he's gonna continue, or he originally planned on emailing, that he's not gonna do that now. He's gonna take the information that he has remaining over to Office Max and have it professionally bound. And he told me he would have that by the end of the week. So at sometime between now and Friday, there'll be professionally bound notebooks for all the council with the remaining information.
That would be very nice.
And I'll let everybody know whenever those arrive at City Hall.
Yeah, that'd make it a lot easier. Just print out
So we
the
don't have to print off that 28-page email that came in at 2:17 in the morning?
Yeah.
Well,
That's-
my understanding is that the only information he's gonna have professionally bound is new information, and not the information he's already emailed out.
Will we have Atkins here and the monitors, I mean, when that comes about, will we have,
Yeah, Atkins was unavailable today, but I've spoke to him about coming to the next meeting. But with the amount of information, I mean, it may be a good idea at some point to, just workshop this issue and everybody talk about this and only this. It's a lot of information. We need to get the consultants in here, to sit down and talk.
I'm like Ms. Hamlin, I'm sure was up at 2:17 this morning, but I got the email and I got a full day at 5, so I think that's a touch. But I just want people here to answer the questions besides when that's what I want, like Atkins and the Russo, the monitors.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask this, guys. Shall we rescind our vote that we just voted for the 28th and put this into a workshop? Because this is an extensive amount of information. We do need adequate time to dig into that. That could make the meeting very, very long. So do we want to
I think a
rescind
workshop
that?
would be a good idea because it's a volume of information and very important information.
Okay,
I'm
so,
not too sure we shouldn't have a workshop before that to even discuss what we should collect versus what he's given us. I mean, I see checks in here and everything else, but we have no copies of the checks.
well, let's pull our meeting back to the rescinding of our previous elected vote to postpone until 11/28 and see if I can get a motion to pull this to a workshop instead.
Are you ready? I'll make a motion that we have a workshop pertaining to this issue before we meet.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Tammy, call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Chris, the council will direct you to set up that workshop with all the needed people that need to be there. If we need to call a special meeting beforehand for us to discuss it, we can also do that. Do we want to direct a special meeting? Okay.
I don't know what the point of the discussion would be until we meet with them.
Okay. So workshop is one.
I'd probably start there and then if we need to do it afterwards, but I don't know what the end goal is here.
Yeah, I don't think meeting with them is gonna actually get a decision. I agree with Mr. Welly. It's good for us to meet with them, get their information. They've forced a lot of paperwork and emails on us, but we need to gather some information and come back at them. I mean, I don't know if we're right or wrong or have to pay them or not pay them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's why we need the monitors and Atkins here. They did that. I mean, the Atkins and the monitors, that's what come about. It's just, to get paid for FEMA, you're gonna have to have them monitors. And the monitors, okay, it's a process, and I think we need to have them there to answer the questions. Chris?
Yes, sir. I'll make sure.
Okay, do y'all want to do this as a workshop or a special meeting? Because there is a little difference.
I'm on a fact-finding mission, I think. I don't know what decision they're gonna want, and I don't think we'll be ready to make a decision based on that
Workshop,
workshop.
and then, once the workshop has,
Then we can decide how
Then
to
we'll
proceed, yeah. I
put it on
mean,
the agenda.
yeah. I don't know what our end goal is, that's why it's a little gray to me. what
Can
we're-
we decide at the workshop if we want to have a special meeting and go from there?
Yeah, a special meeting or just putting it on an agenda. Okay. Enough discussion? Everybody good? So we're gonna move forward with directing Chris to provide a workshop that will include Atkins and Rusco. Is that-
Monitors, just, I
Monitors.
can't say them two names.
Eisman Russo.
Russo, something, what was it? Iceman.
Eisman and Russo.
Yep. So, we'll do that. Okay, as we move forward, we're gonna, we have ordinance 819, public no second reading. Carly? Good morning. Good morning.
This is the second reading for ordinance 819. And this item was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Board for approval with a few recommendations that we discussed at the last meeting. At the first reading for this ordinance, council asked that certified letters be sent. There is an error in your packet. We went back and forth a few times between 20 days and 15 days. The decision at the end of the meeting, when I rewatched it yesterday, was that council decided on 15 days prior to the date of the first public hearing. I have in your packet right now 20 days. I can revise that if that's still what council wishes. And then the second recommendation that council made at that first reading was that the applicants be responsible for certified letters. These revisions, as I mentioned, are in red. And then yesterday, you were forwarded additional information via email with one more recommendation that clarifies the, provides clarification for the applicant as well as for the expectations for the reviewers at the city. That just because the applicant gets their application in 30 days prior to a hearing, it does not necessarily mean that a hearing happens at the first available one. We want to be able to ensure that the city can prove that the application is complete and in compliance with our rules and regulations prior to it being scheduled for a hearing. So I have that language provided to you in blue. I can read it if you find that necessary.
May I ask who directed you to add that?
It was just something that we looked at when we were considering making the timeline 15 days for mailings to go out. That left review for 15 days, 2 weeks for the city, and we want to be sure that the city has sufficient time. If the applicant doesn't have information correct, if we need to go back and forth on requests for information a few different times, we want to be sure that the applicant has appropriate expectations.
Okay. Oh, you just had said that you had been told to add language.
Oh, Laura and I
Oh, okay.
discussed
Gotcha.
it. Sorry
I
about
just
that.
wanted to just make sure that their direction wasn't coming.
When we were considering the longer time frame for mailings, we just wanted to be sure that there's an extra sentence in there that says there's no guarantee, but we'll do our best.
Right. Well, that makes sense. When I read that, I was like, that makes sense. So, and I didn't realize it was the blue was something that had changed, but that makes sense. Okay. All right. So do I have a motion to read ordinance 819 by title only?
Are we gonna stick with the 15 or 20 days?
She said she's going to change it to the 20. I mean to the 15.
And that's the reason we did it, because at a P&Z board meeting, and we was counting the days or something, I think the 15 was.
Yeah, the D1 is that where you're changing that, right?
Yeah.
It'd be,
I don't know why the city refuses to number pages, but it'd be nice to have numbers on the pages.
okay. I know E, D1, E, and the next D1.
Well, the E has to do with the hearing, the public hearing,
Yes,
not posting.
that has to do with the sign. We changed that as well to 20 days.
But no more than 30.
Yes.
Let me understand this right, we're posting 15 days.
The sign will be up at least 20 days, or I'm sorry, at least 15 days prior to P&Z, but no more than 30 days.
And the hearing,
And the hearing
after 20 days, no more than 30.
after the hearing. I don't understand your question, I'm sorry.
At least 20 days, but no more than 30 days prior to the first public hearing.
Yes.
Just want to confirm. Thank you.
Any other questions or?
Please.
before we move to a reading? We'll have public comment after the reading. Thank you. Okay. So can I get a motion to read ordinance 819, public notice by title only?
Make a motion, we read 819 by title only.
Tammy? Call the roll.
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now you can call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Welly,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes.
Ordinance 819, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending the Land Development Code to modify Article 1, create Section 1.12.00, and modify Article 7 to establish a process for notification and hearing procedures, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'll open this up to public discussion. You come up, sir. You need to state. You had to come to the podium, state your name and your street, or your address.
Kirk Werfel, 103 South 30th Street, primary resident. Understand we just discussed dates and everything. What is the applicant applying for? What is the hearing on? Don't understand what this is achieving.
This is an ordinance to give notice when there are public meetings for variances and other types of changes throughout the city that go to planning and zoning and then come to the council. It's the public notice that we give out. It will include putting our notice out on the property. It will also include sending letters out to different residents that are adjacent to the property.
So maybe subdividing a lot?
300. Yeah.
Because that's exactly what's happening right next to me. And I got a letter from a legal office in Port St. Joe. And it's like, okay, I understand what you're doing. But that's all that I could do. There wasn't any comment or hearing or anything about that. I don't know where it's headed.
Okay, so all lot splits, variances of any kind come to planning and zoning. Then this notice, if you want to explain it, Carly, that's fine.
There are some lot splits that don't have to be advertised, and those are the ones that, and I'm not familiar with this exact example, but just generally speaking, Mexico Beach was originally platted. If someone is asking to split their 2 lots back to the original 2 lots that were platted, that doesn't come before planning and zoning or council. That's something that's done at the administrative level.
Okay.
But this is language establishing an administrative procedure for 2 types of hearing: legislative, where we create policy, and then quasi-judicial, where that policy is implemented to certain applications.
Okay. If it's grandfathered in, certainly understand it, acceptable. If it's a new split of a lot, do we want to be a little hamlet by the Gulf, or do we want to keep subdividing the pie? So hopefully, that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Any other public discussion? Okay. Thank you, Carly, for closing the public discussion. Move the discussion to the table. Any discussion on this ordinance? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve or deny or table this?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 819.
I'll second.
Tammy, call the roll.
Can I have some clarification, just so I make sure that I'm capturing it correctly? So we do want to go to 15 days for mailings and sign postings. Minimum 15 days before P&Z. Okay. And then what do you think about the language that was proposed yesterday in blue that adds, this requirement does not ensure the request will be heard at the next subsequent public hearing. A determination of completeness and compliance must first be made.
I like that.
Okay.
I think we do. Okay. So we have a motion for approval of ordinance 819 public notice and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is ordinance 820, golf cart registration, first reading. Mr. McCahill?
Yes, Mayor, the city council directed me to draft an ordinance that reinstated golf cart registration because it had been stopped some time back. It came before the council at a meeting, and it was determined that we wanted to do a workshop. We held a workshop. There was several different things that was put out there, so I went ahead and redrafted this, and what we have in there is we reinstated golf cart registration with a $15 annual fee. We eliminated police inspection, and also we added to that, just above and beyond back to registration, the hours of operation. I've changed from sunrise to sunset instead of just saying daylight hours. We changed, if there is a change in the ownership, the golf cart must be re-registered with the new owner, and you can only have as many passengers as seats on the golf cart. And all those changes that we talked about at the workshop have been put into this ordinance.
And also the owner should be at least 18 years.
That's in there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
And this would be for first reading.
yeah, a motion for reading of ordinance 820 by title only.
I'll make a motion that we read ordinance 820 by title only.
Second?
Second. Call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Ordinance 820. An ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 689 regarding hours of golf cart operation, number of golf cart passengers, and adding golf cart registration, providing for fines for failure to register and for operation of golf cart after registration is revoked, providing for codification, repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Open up for public discussion.
Michael Paul, 215 Simcoe. I brought this up the last time. According to the ordinance now, it says all golf carts. It doesn't say anything about street legal, which has already been registered, licensed, and supposedly insured. Are y'all going to just say all golf carts, or are you going to make it exempt for a street legal vehicle?
Street legal vehicle would be covered under the state. I mean, we don't have any power to
Well,
legislate against.
but when you say all golf carts,
They're not golf
that says all golf carts.
Those are,
Yeah, they're considered low-speed vehicles. Those are considered low-speed vehicles, not golf carts,
which is
Okay.
registered by the
which are
state.
registered by the state.
That's what you're assuming.
That's a good
Now,
question.
when you leave, somebody else gonna come along, they gonna say, well, it says all golf carts. On the next people that does the ordinance. I still think you should have low-speed vehicles exempt.
I don't think we need to.
Okay?
I think the
So when I get
definition
pulled
stands
over
for
my
themselves.
Not having one and get fined by somebody else, who do I go see?
That guy in the back.
If you,
Not
if you
you,
have
The
a,
guy in the back. Man in the green.
yeah, if you have a license, if it's registered with a license plate, your tickets will go through the county, not through the city. If you are not registered, you do not have a license plate, and you have a violation, it goes to the city. And they're smart enough, Bobby, that they're not gonna give you a ticket for a golf cart
Okay,
that's
you're not.
unregistered.
You're not. But
Excuse
the
me?
next people coming down the line might. That's what I'm saying. It'll be a simple word by saying the registered vehicle. It'd be simple, just put in there. That way, coming down the line later, you won't have a problem with it.
Well, I think our legal counsel has
I just
said
don't
we
think
should
we
not
need to.
have any problem with that because that's covered by the state.
Been there before. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lisa Logan, Maryland Boulevard. This question is purely for my own clarification. I don't own a golf cart. I don't know anything about golf carts except there's a problem. So there's golf carts, there's street legal golf carts, and there's low-speed vehicles, how do you differentiate between a golf cart, plain old golf cart, and a street legal golf cart?
One will have a license plate issued by the state of Florida on the back of it, the golf cart won't.
Okay, so it looks like a golf cart, it runs like a golf cart, but it's got a license plate on it.
Correct.
And lights.
Well, there's other state criteria to get a license plate put on a low-speed vehicle. It can't be a golf cart. Like, it has to have certain criteria such as windshields, seat belts, blinkers, lights, rearview
Okay.
mirrors, all just like a car.
So if a golf cart does not have a license plate on it, then it's just a plain old golf cart.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, though. Any other public discussion? That's some good comments, good questions. We'll close the public discussion, move to the table. Any discussion? Okay.
The only thing I got is on the section 70.05, where it reads the golf cart can only have the number of passengers as the number of seats contained in the golf cart. If you have seat belts in the front and none in the back, does that still apply?
It's only seats,
It's
not
only
belts.
seats.
It's only seat belts I mean, if you have a four-seater and there's only seat belts in the front, that's.
Still a
that's not-
four-seater.
Yeah.
Still 4 seats.
It's still a four-seater, but can you ride four people legally without a seatbelt?
Yes. Golf cart.
Even though the requirement for a golf cart says you have to have a seatbelt?
Golf carts don't have no seat belts.
No, the low-speed vehicles, they have a requirement for seat belts for each one that's in the vehicle. And it's considered the same as a motor vehicle and everything else. Golf cart doesn't fall under that same deal and everything it can have. But if they're under the age of 16, I think it is, they have to have a seat belt on.
On golf carts?
Well, let me check on it, I'll make sure.
Yeah, I don't think when I read the state ordinance statutes on that it said anything about seat belts on golf carts at all.
Yeah, but, yeah, the LSV is actually the one that's
Yeah.
registered with the state, so just seat belts, and if you're riding around, you have to have your seat belt on, just like in a motor vehicle.
Right.
Golf carts doesn't fall under the same deal.
So we're saying that a four-seater is a four-seater and it doesn't matter if we have seat belts?
Yes.
Right.
That's what it says.
And what about, you gotta put one of these in the back. What about kids sitting on laps?
That's not a seat. They have to be in a seat. I would think so, yeah. By law, you'd have to have passengers per seat.
The way it's written is if you have 4 seats, you can have 4 people. You can't have 5.
Yes, sir, you can come up. I reopened public discussion, sorry. That's
Well, it
okay.
seemed like it did.
That's
so
okay, that's fine.
Larry Henderson, 203 7th Street. I guess, my question, since we brought up about golf carts, registered golf carts, low-speed vehicles. I assume you have to, for a low-speed registered, vehicle, you have to have a driver's license. Does that apply to operating a golf cart on the streets?
With the new statutes and stuff that came in October, a person has to be 15 with a learner's permit, but city ordinance says you have to be 16 with a driver's license to operate a golf cart inside city limits.
The reason for the question is a lot of golf carts, particularly tourist season, they're obviously, not. Okay. And I thought that might have been a distinction for the golf cart. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so before I close the public discussion a second time, anyone else want to talk about golf carts? Okay, we'll close that and go back to the table. Anything, Linda?
I have nothing else on golf carts.
I'm with Linda.
Jerry, you're
I'm
with
with
Linda?
Linda.
Okay. Mr.
Section 5, line 3, you have an equal sign that needs to be deleted, that's all I have.
Say that one more time.
Section 5, line 3, there's an equal sign that just needs to be removed. Relettered.
Relettered. Oh, okay.
That's all I saw.
Oh, I see. We'll fix that typo.
Okay, so, thank you for the discussion. We move to our next ordinance. Is ordinance 821, amend appropriations for funds for general fund, first reading. And this is Mr. Hubbard.
The Mayor and Council, Florida Statute 166.241 gives municipalities the ability to amend our previous year, fiscal year's budgets. And so what these four ordinances, because I only did one agenda abstract for all four, because they're the same thing. But this will allow us to amend our budget to make sure that our fiscal year 2022, 2023 budget is balanced. Now this balances the funds, it doesn't balance each individual line item. With the accounting company that we just hired, they obviously haven't balanced fiscal year 22 yet. They'll start on fiscal year 23 as soon as they're done with 22, but this will balance the funds, which is what the state requires. Also, just for informational purposes, for the council and anybody who looks at these ordinances, on each ordinance in the first whereas, that paragraph, it'll tell what the previous year's budgeted amount was as well as the new budgeted amount. The only fund that we had any issue with was the sanitation department. Sanitation department lost nearly $30,000 last year. So we'll be rectifying that.
Chris, do you want to talk about each of these as I go, or do you want me to just?
I don't think it's necessary. Like I said, it's just to balance the funds.
All right, so this is balancing the general fund, the water fund, the sanitation fund, as well as our sewer funds for our year ending September 30th. So, okay, so I need to entertain a motion here for reading ordinance 821 by title only.
I'll make a motion to read ordinance 821 by title only. Second.
Okay, Tanner, call through.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Ordinance 821, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, authorizing the amendment for the appropriation of funds and adoption of the amended budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023 for the general fund, providing an effective date.
Okay. We're open for any public discussion on the reappropriation of our funds for our general fund. Okay, no discussion, close the public discussion, bring it to the table. Have any questions about?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we gonna have a number or a spreadsheet or something to show where these numbers come from before the next reading? Do you think they'll have that by then?
No.
I kinda wanna see what it corresponds to. You don't think they'll have it by then?
No.
Okay, I know we're up against the timeline. I just wish I knew where we were coming with that number.
What, the number on here, what I did is I ran a revenue versus expenditures report from Springbrook, and that's where these figures come from. The three that made money, it's the revenue side of the house. The sanitation was amended to represent the expenditure since it was the higher number. The individual line items, like I said, that will be probably months from now once, because there's still some growing pains going on with the accounting firm. And you know, we'll experience that for a little while as they adapt to our system and we get them all the information that they need.
So we're not amending to bring money in from other sources, it's all within that fund already, we just had an increase in revenue and an increase in expense.
Correct.
So there's nothing coming in, we're not moving between funds?
No.
Just departments?
Correct.
Got it.
Mr. Wolf, do you have anything?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, we'll close that discussion and we'll move to our next ordinance, ordinance 822, amend appropriations of funds for our water fund. Do I have a motion to read ordinance 822 by title only?
Make a motion to read ordinance 822 by title only.
A second.
Tammy, call the roll.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Welling.
Yes.
Ordinance 822, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, authorizing the amendment for the appropriation of funds and the adoption of the amended budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023 for the water fund, providing an effective date.
Open to the public discussion.
Are these first readings or second?
These are
First.
first readings. Mhm.
I'm sorry?
First
First.
readings. Amended for the first reading.
Why did y'all vote?
We didn't vote.
We voted to read them.
Voted to
I'm
read them.
sorry.
That's fine.
Not here.
It's okay. Okay, closing public discussion. Any discussion at the table?
No.
All right, ordinance 823, amendment appropriations of funds for the sanitation fund, first reading. Do I have a motion to read ordinance 823 by title only?
I'll make a motion to read ordinance 823 by title only.
I'll second it.
Ordinance 823, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida. Oh, we didn't vote.
I'm sorry.
Back up.
Can we have a vote?
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Welling,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Ordinance
ma'am.
823, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, authorizing the amendment for the appropriation of funds and adoption of the amended budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023 for the sanitation fund, providing an effective date.
Open for public comment for our appropriations of sanitation funds. Closing public, discussion at the table. Samantha, do you have anything?
Chris, what were you saying about the difference, the $30,000?
Yeah, that's, I wanted to bring that up, because if you look at the numbers there, it looks like almost $100,000, but the actual revenue for the sanitation fund this past fiscal year was $555,675. So more revenue was received than what was originally budgeted, it's just the expenditures were $30,000 higher than what the revenue was.
So how are we funding that fund balance, or are we having to move money in to cover that shortfall?
Fund balance.
Fund balance?
So the 30,000, like, how can we explain that?
It's money that we had in the bank that the sanitation department, has set in there from previous years.
Are you asking how do we
So,
explain
like,
why
how
we
do we spend
overspent?
more than 30,000
Talking
that we're
overage.
planning on spending? Is that what you're saying?
Tipping fees?
Yeah, tipping fees was the big
Oh,
thing.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
The cost of the city to dispose of our trash went up substantially this past year.
Okay.
We've had more runs.
More runs, more
More
trash,
trash.
and more expense, related to that. The price went up in addition to the increased number of runs and weight.
Remember early on in the budget, we talked about going locally versus
That explains
long,
it. Mhm.
and saving that labor time going there.
Same number of users, more trash. And that's why we don't have an increase in revenue. Do you think the 10% increase is gonna help us next year to offset that?
We're going to be bringing an ordinance to the table here in the very near future, which is going to address some of the rental properties where you have large number of rooms and a large number of people will stay there and generate a lot of trash. I mean, there's certain rental properties here that during the busy times of the year will have 25 bags of trash out there. And there's nothing in our ordinance right now which will allow us to charge for that. So that will be on the agenda in the very near future to address those types of situations.
Do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Okay, no.
Move along.
Move along. Jerry said we can move along.
Move along.
We'll close that discussion. We're gonna move to,
The only thing that I should, but then Tom and them doing sanitation during the July 4th and these holidays and they have to work on the weekends. I think that we have to service the citizens, give them service, and that's where I think it's going up. Plus the tipping fees that we have to pay, we have to pay what we can't just dump the garbage somewhere. We have to take it where we have to dump it to. So I think that within $30,000, I think we did really well for what we give the citizens, especially with sanitation. Thank you.
thank you.
Move along.
Okay, permission to move along from Jerry now. Okay, we're gonna move on to item 8, ordinance 824, amendment of appropriation funds for sewer funds, first reading. And do I have a motion to read ordinance 824 by title only?
Before we read, can I
Okay.
ask questions that might affect it? The numbers aren't right. They are the same numbers as the sanitation.
I noticed that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna bring it to the
Typographic
table.
error on my part.
So I don't know if we need to fix that before we read it, or,
The,
It's the sewer,
Yeah, sewer.
sanitation.
the correct number would be, as far as, $1,186,585.
the old one?
The old one I don't have, but we'll have that amended before the next
Okay.
meeting.
I didn't know if we needed to have that fixed before we read it. so.
Good, I was gonna just talk about it, but I didn't know if it, didn't think about it being read, so
Read the numbers.
we're not voting on anything, so.
Make a motion to read ordinance 824 by title only.
I'll make
Second.
it. All right, Tammy call the roll.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
You may read.
Ordinance 824, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, authorizing the amendment for the appropriation of funds and adoption of the amended budget for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 for the sewer fund, providing an effective date.
Open for public discussion. No public discussion, no closed public discussion, move to the table. Any other discussion on the sewer fund? Linda?
Let's see, are we moving on to,
We're,
oh, no, I'm good.
we're gonna clear up the numbers on this before the
Yeah,
next
right.
reading.
I'm okay.
You good? Mr. Wolf? You got anything? Okay, so we'll close this. We'll move on to item 9. Certificate of substantial completion, phase 1, phase 2, stormwater repair for GCUC. And this, Mr. David Risen, Dewberry Engineer.
So yeah, these are the letters of substantial completion for phase 1 and 2 of the stormwater work. We briefly spoke of them last week at the special meeting. It's just, in summarizing, basically states that the work's been done, the city's done their inspections, Dewberry's looked at it, and it allows the contractor to move forward with closing out the project.
We still have the $49,000 in retainage money also that will not be released because of this. We'll hold on to that until they submit their final pay request.
Okay. That was going to be my question. How much was this? And so So this isn't any monetary amount, we already paid the $450, and this is
Covers
just,
both phases of the project. Basically said they've done all the work, they're substantially complete with the work.
and then we hold the 49 until Dewberry and everybody's done all their due
Yeah,
diligence.
they'll submit for the final retainage, and if there's something that comes up, I mean, that's obviously not a substantial nature, and we can have the contractor address that.
Okay, and I do see where amendment to the contract is none, their responsibility, contractor's responsibility is none, and our responsibility is none.
How could we have the contractor do it if we've crossed off here?
Well, this would be like if there was a punch list or something, like say there was a problem with the pipe or there was an issue.
Based on what you said, and based on what's here, that's not true. You have a contract here, and you wrote out, lined out the area that says if you had a punch list. If we have one thing, it's a punch list.
Well, before I filled this out, I reached out to Tommy and Chris and said, are there any issues with the project? Nothing came up, so I crossed that out. There's no punch list out there. That's of substantial work.
Okay. I'm just saying, if it's complete, it's complete. This says substantially complete. That means it's not completely done. So if one little thing comes up, based on that coming out of that line, we're not gonna get it done.
We're only 49,000, that's right.
Yeah.
But they are substantially complete.
Yeah.
They're just not completely complete.
Correct. So why don't we just leave that open and not line it out?
So here's my concern, is we've not had any rain.
Right.
And we don't know how that's going to do when we have these 5 inches that we're suspecting it's going to come in the next few days. That would probably do a telltale sign of those.
Well, there's been rain events since the pipe's gone in. I mean, for phase one's been done for quite a while. Right. For the stormwater, the pipe along Florida, there's been rain events since they've been done putting it in. They've had to go back and do some sod work and some cleanup work as well. But I mean, I think if there was going to be a problem, it would have shown. And there is a warranty period too on this work. So if something comes up and we get 5 inches of rain and, something breaks or, they're all obligated to come back and correct that.
So I have a question about phase 1. And I've had this question since day one. I never seen anyone shooting a grade for those ditches to get water to flow in a direction. And there are still places where that water is standing, it's not moving, if we have substantial rain. So why was there not a grade shot?
Because that kind of goes back to the discussion Mr. Wolf and I had at the last meeting. We didn't have ground survey when this project started, so there was nothing to gauge it by. But however, on these ditches, most of the time you have an upstream driveway culvert and a downstream driveway culvert, and basically you're meeting, those are your control points. So as long as you meet upstream and downstream, it should flow.
All right, this is Charles Mayor. I asked Mr. Baber about if there were grade line shot for those, and he told me there was, and that he had a map for that.
We had some on 15th Street. There was an issue that we ran into 5th Street all the way to 386. We were trying to figure out the best way to solve the problem. Contractor went out with his surveyor and he shot some grades for that. So, and the city does have that.
So we just did it on the one street, so it wasn't that he told me a tale, he just didn't tell me the whole thing.
Right.
Okay.
As needed, as they had, I think they might have shot some grades going back from 5th Street all the way out to the bridge on 15th Street as well, just to kind of see which way the water breaks.
They did shoot grades. They had I called it a blinky thing, but and I know that everywhere after it rained that I went to, and I would call it, what was his name?
Adam?
Man did the work. It was anyway. He would come back and fix them after it was more than one time that he did come back, and every one of them that I have checked, it's so hard for some of these places to get to a stormwater drain. We below it, and water can't run up here. So that might be some circumstances in the city that Dexter. But they did shoot great.
So, let me move it to the public discussion. You may have any questions about our stormwater repairs, GCUC. All right, I'll close public discussion, we'll move back to the table. So,
I do have concerns, about it being inspected, scoped in some way to make sure it really flows. Did you say last meeting that a 36-inch pipe could not be scoped?
No, the topic was brought up about pulling the mandrel through the 36-inch pipe, and it's not you don't really mandrel a 36-inch pipe. But that wasn't for clogging issues, that was for more or less the pipe roundness. As far as you can lamp it, we can go down and put a lamp on it. You put a spotlight down here and a mirror on one end, and if you can see the light on the other end, it's basically clear. Or in rain events, if it's flowing, it's clear.
I think our details.
It seems like there's been some problems on 5th Street. It has been a while since we've had rain, but when we did have rain, 5th Street did flood. I did notice yesterday, and I did take a picture, there is a sinkhole hole on 5th Street in Florida. It's near the fire hydrant, so I wonder why that would be.
Are you aware of that, Tommy?
I have a picture if you need it. There's a sinkhole on 5th in Florida near the fire hydrant. I have a picture if you need it.
Well, and that could be unrelated to stormwater. That could be some other new issue that's popped up.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take a look at it for sure.
And
If it's something that was created through them, they will fix it.
Okay. And then the other concern I have too, I feel like we still need confirmation of a lien waiver on this contract, that, y'all have paid everybody that needs to be paid, that the city is not gonna come back to haunt the city. So we need confirmation of that, written confirmation of that.
And that's something Chris can, and before he releases the retainage, Chris could, we can follow up with them and have them sign a lien.
Any questions? Mr.
I only a question, and David, I'm not giving you a hard time here, I'm just saying, if this is what we're signing off on, you guys didn't cross this off for no reason, you crossed it off for a reason. I'm okay with the punch list of items to be completed and corrected is attached to this certificate. We're not giving you a punch list, I'm okay with that line coming out. But the second line says, this list may not be all-inclusive, and failure to include any items on such list does not alter the responsibility of the contractor to complete all work in accordance with the contract. So it says that you're going to do it. I want to hear that. I think that should be on there.
If you look down, there's another line, the certificate does not constitute acceptance of work not in accordance with the contract documents, nor is a release of the contractor's obligation to complete the work in accordance with the contract.
Okay, but they also, so we're at 50-50 then. One says it, one doesn't. I agree with you. It should say it.
I think it does, right there.
You're the lawyer. If you're okay with it, I guess the mayor can sign it. I'm good. Yeah.
Good enough.
Okay. All right, so, thank you, David. Any other discussion at the table before I move for a motion? I'll move for a motion to approve, deny, or table the certificate of substantial completion, phase 1 and phase 2, stormwater repair.
I would do them two separate, two phases,
Okay.
two separate ones.
We can do that. All right.
I would make a motion to approve the certificate of substantial completion for phase 1.
Okay. Do I have a second for a motion to approve phase 1?
Second.
Tammy, call the roll, please.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
No.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay. I move for a motion to approve, deny, or table phase 2 stormwater repair for the SCU substantial completion certificate.
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of substantial completion for phase 2.
Second.
Tammy, call the roll.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
No.
Mayor Miller?
No.
Mr. Wolf?
No.
What does that mean?
So we have an approval for phase one to be substantially completed, but phase two, we'll have to bring back.
What do they need? I mean, can we clarify what was needed?
So I think we need, here's mine, and then I'll let Mr. Wolf. I think that we need to be sure that we have good drainage on this before we move forward. Linda, do you?
I agree with the same, and I still want proof that it's scoped in some kind of way. And I'm also needing confirmation of the lien waiver, and I want you to check out the pothole and what's going on in Fifth Street. I'd like to see a good rain before we confirm those things.
Well, we'll check out the pothole, but that's unrelated to this project.
So, anything, Jared?
I just, yeah, my issue is just with that second sentence.
I'll adjust that for you. I'll take that.
That'll be okay?
I'm sorry.
All right, we'll bring that back to the table. Okay. Moving to item 10, disaster.
Can we re-vote on that if he's gonna agree to change it?
I can
We
resubmit
can,
it.
hang on, we can do this, we can rescind our vote there, if it's council,
Make a
make a motion to
rescind.
rescind it, and then we could say with conditions, approve with conditions.
I need some parliamentary help. So being we made the motion and it failed, it's in time for a re-motion to approve with conditions. Because we didn't deny it, we just didn't approve it. Correct. Okay.
Yeah, we have to actually pull it back in completely. Do I have any motion? Does anyone, I'll entertain a motion to rescind our previous vote to deny the substantial completion of phase 2 stormwater.
But we don't have to rescind it because we didn't deny it. It just didn't pass the approval.
It wasn't approved.
Correct. So I'd make a motion to approve the phase 2 substantial completion with conditions.
A second.
Will you state the conditions?
The removal of the second paragraph scratched there.
Have conditions? Other conditions? Any other conditions? Yeah, I want to, okay, I want to make sure. Okay. Go ahead, Tammy.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
No?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Whaley?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
No. Moving on to our item 10, disaster management contract with Atkins Realis. Mr. Hubbard.
Mayor and council, at the October 24th meeting, the city picked Atkins Realis to be the city's disaster management coordinator. This contract that they had submitted, we just formalized that agreement.
All right, open public discussion. We'll close public discussion. Move discussion to the table. Ms. Hamilton.
I have no further discussion.
Just a good pick.
Okay.
In light of the Kaiser Kane information, do we have to approve this today, or can I wait till after that workshop? Can they wait till after that workshop? I would like to hear some responses to some of the questions that have been raised.
I think the contract
We need to get it
expires this
renewed.
month. Yeah.
My
That's all I
question. Were there any changes in this contract from our last contract with them? It looked the same to me, but I thought there could be one line that I missed or something. So I just want to make sure there's nothing that I missed. Okay. All right, Mr. Wolf. You're good. Okay. So we're going to entertain a motion for deny approval or table for the disaster management contract with Atkins Realis.
I'll make a motion that we approve Atkins Realist contract for disaster management services.
I'll second it.
Tammy, call the roll.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes?
Mr. Whaley?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. All right. Item 11, building service contract, PPCI.
Mayor and council, at the October 24th meeting, the council voted to select EPCI as our building services contractor. Their contract will formalize that agreement as well.
Okay. Public, open to the public.
Lisa Logan, Maryland. Before, all right, just sort of, 2 or 3 years ago when Mr. Hubbard suggested that you go ahead with the RFQ, there was supposed to be a discussion, I thought, on the other option, which is to bring the building department back into the city and not have a third party operate that. And y'all had mentioned that several months back. There has been no discussion on that. And I think that it is necessary that you look at all of the options. And right now I know of 2, EPCI operating it or bringing it back under the city. And I think y'all owe it to us to at least have that discussion. We have not had that discussion under the previous administrations. And I must be the only one in town whose alarms or whose radar went off when Bo Creel stood in front of you at the last meeting and said, in the first 9 months of this calendar year, EPCI made over $600,000. EPCI paid, according to the contract, $120,000 to the city. Any department in a town as small as ours that is generating that much revenue needs to be looked at. Perhaps EPCI is the best way to go. But you should be looking at the other option, which is to bring it back as a city department, because that much revenue is walking out the door. And what little information I have, which is not at all complete, on how much revenue EPCI made in just the last 5 years, because they've only digitized the last 5 years, and how much they actually paid back per the contract to the city, jumped significantly, as you would expect, because of all the building. So, if they are generating at this point in time, and yes, I know how the building department works and the permit fees ebb and flow a tremendous amount, but there's been a significant jump in permit fees for the last 5 years. Most of that money that's generated is walking out the door. And you add to that the fact that we have had multiple significant issues with EPCI and the way they have handled things just since the hurricane, but even before. And it behooves you and is your job, as I see it, to look at the other options. At least have the discussion before you just sign another multi-year contract. So I am asking you to do that. Look at the other options. See if there is a better way to handle this, if we have more control over how the building department is handling regulations.
Thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Hang on 1 second. Anyone else?
I kind of like to weigh in on this a little bit. Just, I think she made some great comments, Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe. We have the same building inspector, but now that Florida statute says you can do virtual inspections, that's been around since I think 2021, you have a lot more options. You also have options of, do you hire a building official to oversee, and you have a department, and then you do those virtual inspections. You can also do CAP, which some municipalities, a lot of them in the state of Florida are moving towards, or you can stay just as you are. I was sort of surprised at the last meeting that there was only one company that bid. And I don't understand why that is, because there's some really great building officials and their companies in the whole panhandle, as well as there's other options based off of New Florida statute. So I would encourage you to do some research that's a little bit deeper and a little bit wider before you make any sound decisions, or at least not do such a long contract. And so that's, or do an extension on the existing contract and then go and do some more exploring. Thank you.
I said, make just clear up a little bit.
Let's just make sure everybody, then you can, get everybody, and you may have extra things that you want to say after these.
Lorraine Lindsay, Florida Avenue. I wholeheartedly agree with the option of having a discussion. We have had such significant issues over the last couple of years in terms of building inspections and things that have been built not according to code, and then we get to the end and we say, oh, well, we feel so bad for you, so we're going to let you have a variance. Well, you know, it's time that we stop that. And with the amount of things that have already been approved to be built over the next couple of years, we're going to have a huge amount of building going on. And I tend to agree that we need to have a discussion about whether we're going to do this internally and keep it and have some control over this process, better control, so that we don't have to constantly say to people, oh, well, you built inside the setbacks, and we're going to let you do it because we don't want you to have to tear the house down. Well, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's time for us to move on from that. We've got a lot that's going to be built over the next couple of years, and we really need to look at that. And I urge you not to extend a 3-year contract to a company that has not, in fact, done a very good job, in my opinion, of holding builders to the requirements of the LDC and the comp plan.
Anyone else? Okay, close public discussion.
I just wanted to mention, I think those are great ideas. I think the city should have all those discussions. This contract has a 30-day out, with or without clause. So you can enter into this contract now and have all those discussions that you want to have, and if you determine you want to go with in-house or some other option, you can terminate this contract with 30 days notice.
Okay, thank you. Linda?
That's a good thought too, to keep that in mind that we could end the contract within the 30-day notice. I think those are excellent ideas and inputs. You know, we did have that just one choice. So as the city grows and we have a lot more need for inspectors, I think we should consider other options.
Anything? Anything?
Just when we created the position that Michael held, I think the plan was to explore doing this, but we have not filled that position. So I don't know if we're planning to, but we can't continue down a plan of trying to take it in-house when we haven't filled the position we created to try and attempt to take it in-house. That's all.
That's some of the conversation that I remember having with council and also with the city administrator. Part of the city administrator is bringing it in-house, and there's something I talked to them about. So I think it's something we need to do, but when you have 15 different items on an agenda and a city that's going the way it is in the current situation we're in, I don't know if today's the time, but I believe that we ought to have conversation going forward in a timeline to plan on bringing that back in-house, by all means.
So when the contract was the only contract, or the bid was the only bid, RFQ that came forward, I questioned that. Because I had already been contacted by someone who had questioned the way the RFQ read, and I directed them back to the city. And the feedback I got was that they were told they had to have a physical office here in town already. And so they were looking for a place, and we have no commercial offices here. So they didn't put in their RFQ, which I was under the impression, because I went to Chris and asked, or maybe it was Tammy, I'm sorry. I was questioning it. Do they have to have a physical office here in town to do this? And they were like, no, it's taking the office that's currently for the building department. So that put someone out by the reading, the wording of that RFQ, and then their contact to the city saying, yeah, you had to have an office, and didn't explain that the office would be here. I think that was a detriment to our city by that happening. Secondly,
Did the RFQ say we provide enough?
nope, we went and read it. I went and read it because when they asked me, I went and read it. I'm like, ooh, and then I went to Chris and I asked Tammy if anybody, or Julie wanted, anyway, I was asking around City Hall to see if I could get those questions answered. And anyway, and then as you would know, last time when we had Mr. Creel here, I was questioning about the time frame, the years, as well as, being able to void this contract at any point. And that's when we were told 30 days. So my recommendation would be to move forward in approving this contract now and start moving forward to bringing discussions to the table to talk about bringing this in-house. Another thing about just the engineering companies that we looked at, there were 7 of them, and there were a lot of things I want to bring to the table about that too, our engineering stuff. So any other discussion about this contract?
Would it also be an option to possibly develop a committee from some of the citizens that have expertise in this area to kind of give us some guidance? Could we put that out and see if people would sign up for it? And
I don't
that
know
way
that-
we could be working on that while we have that contract in place, but we have that 30-day window to terminate it if we come up with a better solution.
We can terminate at any point during this contract with just 30-day notice. Yeah.
Unless they do something
Yeah.
cause.
Yeah. And
They can do it right away.
yeah, so, I mean, I agree with a lot of the comments from the citizens. We have had extensive issues, including a quasi judicial situation that came from an era that, should never have happened. We've had several variances come where a house was flipped and the plan got too close to the property line by doing that, them building it in the reverse of the plan. So I do have some vital, relevant concerns about EPCI and our building department. So we can do anything here that the council wants to do as a group. So.
I mean, do we even know how many certified inspectors EPCI has? Do they plan on hiring more people as the building need goes up? Have they promised anything in that direction?
Not that I'm aware
And
of.
do we know how
We have
many
one in-house,
certified
Greg.
inspectors they actually have?
Yeah, Greg comes in, I know he inspects, and then I think there's a Willie that does it part-time.
So, and Willie is a teacher in Port St. Joe. Is he a certified inspector?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sure he is, or he would be doing inspections. I agree with Mr. Welly. We have talked about this prior to our becoming members of the council. And, his idea of putting Michael in there, we had those discussions when he's council and I was not, and I was a citizen. I did not personally see where a planner was leading to a building department, because there's a big difference in a building department and a planner. So I don't think that planner slash assistant
Development
administrator.
Services Coordinator, wasn't a planner.
At the time, it was, he came in as a planner, and he was good as a planner. I looked at some of his portfolio, and he's a good planner. So, any other discussion?
One other thing too, can we possibly include a penalty clause if the inspections are not done correctly or in a timely manner? There's nothing that specifies that.
I think you could just terminate the contract if you do, for cause, if he's making a mistake.
Something else to think about.
I mean, the suggestion was a suggestion, which is a good suggestion, is to extend their current contract by however many days. And instead of getting into another contract, just do an extension. And us moving forward, trying to make the change of bring the building department in-house.
I think we run out. I think we had a 3-year, and then we had a 2-year, then we had a 1-year, and I think this is run out.
All the extensions on that contract are out.
Extensions is out, days and all, so.
But we need for right now, we need a building department, right? All those ideas are great, and they should be
And
looked
this
into.
doesn't expire until December, so.
Well, and you may have some time.
I think we do approval, how we approve it, we approve it at the table, and we have a 30-day out if we want out.
Yeah.
But we need to do some work.
Yeah, we do,
Yeah.
agree. Okay, so I'm gonna entertain a motion for approval to deny or table of the building service contract for EPCI.
I make a motion to approve the EPCI contract for building services.
I'll second.
Okay, Tammy Holbrook.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Okay. And I would like to say that if we could direct Chris to make sure the RFQ gets changed to be worded. So if we ever have to use that RFQ again, it's already worded that is an in-house office.
We'll look at it before it goes out, won't we? Don't we look at RFQs?
We didn't get to this
We
time.
did this time.
Yeah. None of the RFQs, they all went out without our knowledge. I mean, we had been working to get those out. But I want to direct Chris to make sure that RFQ gets updated,
This is an exhibit.
just in case we ever have to use it again. Okay. Chris, council would like to direct you to make sure that RFQ notes that it's in-house office, should we ever have to use it again. Thank you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is item number 12. This is the accounting firm letter of engagement / contract. This is Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. Mr. Hubbard.
Mayor and Council, at October 24th meeting, the City Council selected Carr, Riggs, and Ingram to be the city's accounting firm of record. They have forwarded their engagement letter to formalize the contract. As I mentioned earlier, they've already started doing some work for us, so they're on the job. This will just formalize everything.
Okay. Open public comment. This is for the accounting firm. Okay. Close public comment, discussion at the table. Linda?
I have no discussion.
Mr. Smith?
Let's get it done.
Okay. All right, so, so I'll entertain a motion for approval, denial, or table.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounting firm letter of engagement with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram.
A second.
Pam, call roll.
Okay, Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so item 13 is transfer of law enforcement education funds to Bay County DCJO. Mr.
Okay, Mayor and Council, our contract with Bay County Sheriff's Office requires it, or it doesn't require, I should say, stipulates that we turn over all law enforcement education funds to the Sheriff's Office when they're contracted. Right now, we have $5,372.11 in law enforcement education funds. And what this would do is just allow us to cut the check and transfer that funding to Bay County Sheriff's Office.
Any public comment? Okay, no public comment, move to page.
So Chris, if you can help me understand, if we're paying like $1 million a year for the services of Bay County Sheriff Department, comes out to be about $84,000 a month. Isn't that enough for them to do their own educational training of the officers here? I don't see why we can't keep that money.
Well,
Statute requires it,
Yes.
right?
it's statute, but, you know, we don't have our own police force. We would, you know, we have the sheriff's office. And so it stipulates, you know, the contract stipulates that we send it to the sheriff's office. I've talked to the sheriff, you know, I made him pinky swear that, you know, any money we send to him would be used on the officers that are here in Mexico Beach working. So, you know, we just don't have it, and we continuously collect this. This is on fines that people receive inside our municipal limits. We just don't receive a whole lot of fines. Last year, I think it was less than $300 that we received for the entire last year. So it's not a whole lot of money, and instead of just sitting in our bank account, I would prefer to honor the contract with the sheriff's office, send it over to them, and let them use it to provide better training and additional training for the deputies working here for us.
Okay. You know, like why didn't we have this discussion before we signed the contract?
The signed contract has not been signed.
It has not been signed? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's been signed.
Did I get it
Ben?
signed?
Yeah.
We currently have a contract with the sheriff's department.
That, I was thinking that was one that, maybe I did sign it. It's the,
As far as I
did I get
know.
it signed? Okay. I thought, there was one that, it was the engagement letter. That's the one I didn't get signed because I had a question about it and you got that figured and then we got for the firm. Okay. Just want to make sure everything gets signed.
We are still getting money in this fund from tickets, or are they now county tickets?
No, we were still receiving funds.
Why are we getting funds still? if We don't have that.
I'm assuming because it happens inside our municipal limits.
That's right. It would just see.
But there's no reason for us to keep it because we have no law enforcement to educate with LEE funds.
Correct.
We shouldn't have to do the administration on
Yeah,
it.
that's why they were remitting it to us.
Right
And
to the
I'm just confused on the optics of why we're even getting it.
Yeah. We're a subcontractor.
Anything else?
Only that maybe make a motion to go ahead and change it for the future. I mean, or we're gonna keep doing it.
Well, that's what,
Inquire with the clerk of court why they're even sending you the money to begin with.
it's a requirement.
Are we getting fines and forfeiture money?
I believe so. I'd have to.
So this is that $2 portion of the fine that goes in that account. Okay.
We have an administrative responsibility that we probably don't need. Somebody doesn't need on their table or desk.
But if we are getting fine money, then we are gonna have to keep doing it because we're gonna keep getting it.
If we get a percent.
Okay.
You just have to direct Chris to look into that. Call the clerk of court, ask what's going on. Why do we get this money?
I'm sure the sheriff wouldn't mind if we send him the money directly. You know, the Bay County does.
And it's different every time, but it would be the same.
Correct.
So it might be like you say 300, and this happens to be 5,000.
It's usually $2 a ticket. It's usually.
I'm pretty sure some of that $5,000 was here whenever I was here before. It's just not been spent.
All right.
So we'll see if we can ask the city administrator to call Bay County and see if they can take that over. Is that what we want to do?
That's up to the council.
Can we?
Absolutely.
You can ask a
I would
question.
at least ask the question so we don't have to have the administrative responsibility on it.
Okay. So, do we need to make a vote on the transferring these funds?
Yes.
Okay.
And the contract does say we're supposed to.
Yes, okay. So, or do we just direct y'all to do it, or do we need to vote?
I think you need a vote to direct
Okay.
Chris
Okay.
to turn that money over to the sheriff.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to transfer the law enforcement education funds to Bay County.
Make a motion to move the law enforcement education lead funds to the county.
I'll second.
Tammy Colbrook.
Okay. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right, next agenda item is FY '22 late audit timeline and update by Mr. Hubbard.
Mayor and Council, the mayor asked me to put this on the agenda. There's quite a bit of information there. I prefer not to go through it, line item by line item, but I did include two pieces of documentation for support. One from the first meeting in May of this year, where it was stated and shown that the audit for fiscal year '22 was going to begin at the end of May. And then also an email which was sent to the elected officials and to certain staff at City Hall. I don't believe the citizens were ever made aware of that information, and it should just answer a lot of questions regarding, why the audit was late and some of the issues that we faced here. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. So, this time on, there's some errors in it, but we won't go over those today. I think this was directed toward me. So that unprofessionalism continues, and it was unwarranted to bring this type of information to the council. So you have the documentation. If anybody has any questions about the timeline, errors, I'll be glad to speak with you about them.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The red and blue.
The
Red is done, blue is done.
No, red, where it says, you can see where it says review, that means that it's completed. Where it's blue and you see the word progress, that means we're still working on that item.
Okay, you've made a lot of progress then.
Okay. Okay.
I was just wondering which was right, which was
Staff
submitted.
Staff has really been working hard on
Good.
this. So, yeah, very good.
I think we ought to bring that up to them. They have put in extra work. All the clerks.
Yes, they have. So, as far as the actual timeline on the audit, do we have anything from, tell us what's going on with our new accounting firm, what they have accessed already, what they still need access to start their job.
The accounting firm has complete access to our Springbrook software, just as any finance director or accounting person who worked in-house would. They have copies of all of our city bank statements going back to April. As you can see in that timeline I provided, I emailed all that to them. They have been in touch with James Moore, which is our auditing firm, and they have the information that we submitted to them, and they've provided additional information. One of the things that was discovered here in dealing with the three entities, us, the auditing company, and the new accounting firm of record, was that the reason why our figures looked unbalanced when we first sent them over to James Moore was because they had done 5 journal entries that we were not aware of, and they never had passed those back to us. I'm assuming just because of the turnover and not really knowing who to send them to, and so that was one of the issues. There was one mistake, which was there was a debit instead of a credit, but other than that, like I said, it was not anything that we were responsible for, other than the fact we had the turnover, which didn't allow them to send everything here so that we could input the journal entries into our system. So moving forward, Carberry's and Amazon are going to be provided a template to where they can provide us the journal entries, and that template will allow us to upload our journal entries directly into Springbrook without us doing much work. It'll make it easier and also less prone to mistakes. And there was earlier I mentioned there's some growing pains dealing with Carberry's and Ingram. Whenever they began working on the journal entries for fiscal year '22, they had utilized account numbers that we don't utilize. And so, you know, I would prefer not to have to redo our entire chart of accounts. And so they're working on making sure that their account numbers match the account numbers that we use. But other than that, we're moving forward, and, you know, it should move pretty rapidly at this point. I do have an email from them with, I believe, 5 items that they want to talk to me about, and that conversation will probably take place tomorrow.
Question, you said that they're sending you information for the journal entries, but they do have access to the software to provide those journal entries themselves?
Yes, ma'am.
So why would you go through a second
Because you'll have a
person?
finding, you'll have a finding for excessive journal entries if they do them. You'll have to have somebody in-house do them, or else there'll be another finding in your report.
Well, and they're not trained on Springbrook, so they don't really want to get in there other than to look around right now. They don't want to get in there and make inputs or change things. And that was one of the reasons why she asked us if it was possible for us to do a template, which would make things easier.
I got scolded in 2015, that's why I remember that part.
That's when the other firm was in here with you?
Yeah, so it was before we hired the other firm. So Carrigs was here, and then they had a finding for significant journal entries when they have to do it. But when they submit them, then they're not significant entries. It's accountant's method.
Okay, so what's the difference in Debbie, our chief financial officer, doing those entries versus she was a contract? and
It's
this is
another
a
way,
contract.
yeah, it's another way, different contract. Oh, you're right, Carrigs isn't our auditor, so it shouldn't be a
Correct.
problem. Sorry, my brain was going in, they were the auditor and the accountant.
Right.
I think it's more of a software issue.
Okay.
They're just not familiar with the software.
Disregard everything I said, I was talking on it, so.
I'll talk to Rich. Okay. So, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, did you have anything on item 15, Carl? Carl Reed? Yeah.
I'm going through your blue ones, and I'll give you some comments on how to fix them. I'm writing them down.
Okay.
So you can give it a
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, Carl Riggs and Ingram PLC.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, just to keep Carl Riggs and Ingram on track, make sure they don't get sidetracked on anything other than what they should be working on. I'm just asking for the council to designate me as the point of contact for Carl Riggs and Ingram for any kind of direction or instructions for their day-to-day operations and what they should be working on for the city. And it would make everything cleaner and make it easier, and everybody knows, you know, what chain of command to follow.
Okay. So, I did, when we met, Chris and I met with Rich, the representative, I did ask them to put me on all emails. So I don't see that there's a problem. I'm not giving anybody direction. I just want to be on all emails related to our finances.
There's no complaint about that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that they know where the direction comes from.
Well,
So you won't be answering any
I
emails?
won't be answering any emails. I just want, yeah, to be aware of what's going on. And I would also like y'all to direct Chris that if there's anything that's said that's not gone through an email that's done on the telephone or whatever, that when I come in and ask what's going on, what can you fill me in on the city instead of getting told there's nothing going on, I'd like to have a update about things if he's meeting someone or talking to someone or there's changes going to go about in our city that could get asked about. So.
What does she want to you tell me? I know what she just said. What do you
Same
say?
thing that he should be giving all of us, not just one of us. It's updates about the city.
We're waiting on a motion on this, or
Yes.
move on, or what?
What do we need a motion?
Just a motion to make him designate the city administrator as a point of contact for Riggs and Ingram.
Need to vote on that too, or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, we do.
I'd like to make a motion that we designate the city administrator to appoint a point of contact for Carl Riggs and Ingram with all instructions, directions coming from the office.
Second.
Tammy, call for it.
Did we have a discussion on that? Did we,
Right,
as a city
we would just-
council, did we get to discuss that?
Yeah, you can
Okay,
put
because,
your input
you know,
before we go
one
to a
person is your
motion.
point of contact. You know, nobody is promised tomorrow. Is that a safe thing to just have one person consider the point of contact? I mean, We just never know what can happen to anybody, and why can't we have two people as the point of contact, and that second person be the mayor? We don't know what can happen tomorrow to any of us, and then we don't have that person.
Well, I understand. You know, and-
So that's just a thought I have. I think it should be two people for the point of contact.
I think if, you know, I don't plan on dying tonight, but.
Well, none of us do. But, you know, things happen, and, you know, I think the mayor would be the second point of contact person.
You have a motion and a second.
Well, we took that off the table because we need to, she didn't have opportunity for discussion.
I think a way of resolving that would be to have a primary and an alternate. So if I do die tonight, then the mayor could be the alternate until another primary was appointed. That should resolve the issues. But they would know, you know, I would be the primary, you know, and they shouldn't take directions or instructions from anybody else, including the alternate, unless something happened to me.
I personally think that gives one person too much power. I think we need two people. That's my thought.
Agreed, when that one person is gone, then the other person has the power. So, do we want to give the power to the mayor is the question over our auditors, or our, excuse me, our accounting firm.
All right, can I, okay. As presiding officer, I'm gonna pull this back in. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the audience, and I'm gonna pull this back in real quick. We'll start over. We're gonna talk about Carr Riggs and Ingram, and I'm gonna open it up to the public, because I think we, as a council, need to hear our public. So public comment is, discussion is open. If anybody wants to come forward.
So you didn't have a motion and a second?
They didn't have the opportunity.
Well, don't, it's not on here, it says comments, so is it?
Sir?
Yeah.
We did citizens comments last, we did citizens comments.
We have a
on law
motion and a
enforcement.
second.
We have a motion and a second on the table. I don't think we need public
But we
comment.
didn't have time for the discussion.
But no one's pulled that
I'm getting ready
motion
to.
and a second.
Please don't, please.
Point of order, please.
Yeah, that's
That's
a
a
motion.
point of order.
Point of order.
We have a motion and a second at the table.
Okay.
How about it?
Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm the presiding officer over this council, and I call point of order. Could you please?
Please, I want to get to what the lawyer says, and then I'll move on.
Well,
But if we're
no,
at the table,
Sir, please,
I
let's
know.
just call point of order. That means you don't talk right now, okay?
no ma'am, I can talk, just like you can
Okay.
talk. I'd like to get
So,
from the lawyer, please, can I get something, we got on the motion and a second, and now we go back to,
There's a motion, there was a second, and unless the person who made the motion wants to pull it back, it's still sitting here.
that's what I'm saying.
so the council does not want to give citizens or the other council people opportunities to discuss this when they're asked to discuss it further.
Is that a
Council
question?
can discuss motion.
I'm sorry?
Council discusses motions, we can absolutely discuss. The council has the right to discuss a motion once it's made.
Exactly, so let's go back.
Council.
I've said what I wanted to say.
So now we go to vote.
So I think as presiding officer, I really need to pull this back in, and we need to rescind the motion until we have complete understanding and allowing us to hear from our citizens as well.
What the lawyer said,
That'd
we
be
all,
up to the person who made the motion.
yeah, they can rescind it, but you can't. I don't think you can now, I don't think you can.
Well, thank you, Lawyer Smith.
Well, I did look lawyer back in my younger days.
I bet you did.
I'll make a motion that,
Can we-
I'll pull that motion back and listen to the citizens.
appreciate
what they
it.
have to say.
Now we're-
I appreciate that, Mr. Wood. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. It's greatly appreciated. Again, it's sort of interesting because I brought your charter with me again. And section 2.01.
I'm sorry, can you give your name and
Yes,
address?
Christine McElroy, Fort St. Joe. General powers and duties. So it's pretty clear in your charter, I don't make this stuff up, It's your charter. And then you go to section 2.07. That's your charter, mayor's responsibility, financial officer, executive, etc., to work with your administrative assistant. And then you have.
Do you have something to say out
Yeah,
loud?
the administrator's not the charter.
Okay, well, but the mayor can work with your administrator. So he should have no more power than the mayor based off of your charter. And you wouldn't be probably in the position you are legally if you had an attorney that truly looked at your charter and explained it to you. It shouldn't be about personalities. And then, of course, I appreciate Councilman Wolf pulling back and allowing public to speak. And Councilman Wolf is very important because in section 2.08, it says Mayor Pro Tem. So if she's not available. So the situation is very simple. Too much power in one person that, does he even have a signed contract?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I think it's a good idea if you're trying to be transparent. She said she's not going to offer direction, but she should be allowed to be as well accountable because, not because I say so, but because your charter says so. And, you know, with all due respect to your interim assistant, this kind of waiting to get the last word, it's unnecessary. And with all due respect, Mayor, I do want to see your timeline. So I'm going to put this charter, once again, your charter, the law, in your public record.
I'm
Want
gonna
your whole
be
3
brief.
minutes, don't you?
No, I'm not gonna need 3. Steve Cox, 225 Charles Corner. Throwing no stones, but the 5 of you elected to sit at this table should all be copied on every financial email. You all carry equal responsibility, in my view, under the law. No disrespect to Mr. Hubbard or anyone else sitting at this table, but he could decide to quit, leave, get shot in the head tomorrow, who knows? And those kind of things happen. A car accident on the way to Kentucky. The 5 of you share financial responsibility, and you all should be copied on those correspondence. Thank you.
All right, any other public comment?
Can I say something, Mayor?
Hang on. Any other public comment? All right, if you're not a council person, now you can have a public comment.
I just want the citizens and everybody to know who this is. I mean, this isn't about power. Believe me, I don't want the power. Whenever I was here before, I didn't do anything with finance. Okay? I wouldn't do anything with finance now if it wasn't absolutely necessary. My concern is making sure that our accounting company stays on track so we're not wasting taxpayer dollars running off and investigating conspiracy theories. All right? Because that's what happened with the previous finance person. So the one that was only here for 2 months, spent more time investigating Al Cathy and Cathy's Ace Hardware, which her being in Kentucky, I don't know how or why she picked that one person and that one business. My goal is to make sure that not happen. I'm looking out for the best interest of the citizens and making sure money's not wasted. That's all this is about. Our accounting firm needs to know where the direction comes from, and that it's legitimate concerns with the city, a legitimate job that they need to be working on. Not investigating things from 5 years ago based on conspiracy theories and conjecture. That's it.
Okay, so I'll address Mr. Hubbard's comment. Ms. Lucas, at the direction of my request, since I could not see an invoice, that I was looking at a number, I asked her, can you see any invoices? She picked an invoice, and it was a Cathy Hardware invoice. That's how that happened. She didn't go in there investigating. She wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. From my request, Can you see invoices? She pulled up an invoice, she could see it. And that's what she told me. Yes, I can see it, and that particular number is for this particular thing. End of conversation. That was our conversation. So, there's no conspiracy theories. I've never, ever, ever sat up here and said that anybody's done anything inappropriate or wrong. I get accused, and there's been conjecture and accusations from others that I've said these things, but I have not. All I've asked for is the accounting software to be able to view not only for myself, but for our council. I didn't that day that I asked for it on August 28th to Doug Baber and Debbie. I never asked for just me. I asked for the council. So that's the way it went down. And I will, I have kept very good notes of my timelines, and I will make sure that goes public. Okay? So, now, with the public discussion still open, would anybody else like to make any comments? Yes, sir.
Alex Hogan, 7th Street. My only comment was power. I don't believe anybody really in power. My perception is that our past administration down the road weren't totally involved in the running of this operation. Okay. We have let a lot of building contracts go through without a lot of forethought. We were building unmercifully, and now we're just now finding, thanks to Mr. Wolf, thank you, brought out some of the errors that we didn't really look into very well. Now we're paying the price, and it's probably too late to do anything about it. And I'm very proud of what our council is today. I think we've got a council that's really being transparent, bringing things out. And I think we're headed in a good direction. I think Mr. Hubbard is doing a pretty good job. Personally, that's my opinion. Now, I think, the power thing, I think all 5 of you should be involved in everything that happens in this community. You're representing us, not Mr. Hubbard, but you guys. And I would like to see you all involved in everything that goes on here, whether it be emails, vouchers, it doesn't matter. We should have somebody second in command in the administrative field. Something should happen to Mr. Hubbard, or he's unavailable. But be as it may, we do need a full cooperation of the council members in everything we do. Thanks.
Any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. And I assume we'll come back to the table, but do you have anything else
I
you'd
do
like to add?
have, regarding Chris's comment regarding the audit, the timeline. Of course, this is your story. You have a reason to defend the woman that you love, that you live with, that you share a home with, a 400-acre goat farm in Kentucky. So this is kind of your opinion. There is litigation regarding this matter, and to me it seems like maybe we need to hear both sides of the story. This is just you using your power to make an agenda and deciding what you wanted to put here. And of course you are defending the woman of your love. So I think this is a very biased opinion, and it really needs to be something as part of the legislation, the legal issues that are coming up over this. There's a case coming up. There's 2 attorneys, our attorney that you hired, Michelle's attorney. So this is a matter that should be brought up where both sides of the story is heard, not just your biased story.
I think the citizens.
In your effort to call it a timeline, an audit
This
timeline.
wasn't a
It's
discussion.
biased,
Okay.
and you overuse your power.
She has the right to let you answer her if she wants.
Okay.
So, do you want him to answer you, Linda?
Not really.
Okay. Okay. I really apologize for this becoming what it has, but I perceived it would.
All over this. One little piece of paper right there.
So let me tell you what this is all over. So I'm sorry, I'll go out of line here, but I'll tell you what this is all over. I can't remember the date. The day that the council here, the 3 members voted 3-2 to hire Mr. Hubbard under irregular circumstances or questionable. That was the day that I decided that I was going to probably have to move legally for this matter. That was in August. And then September 1st, we filed the reason, I filed the lawsuit. Then the September 8th, these 3 council members here received a cease and desist letter. If they had ceased and desist and we had went back to running our city the way our charter says, we would not be here today. I would have dropped that lawsuit. Now, do you have anything to say out loud, Mr. Wolf?
My fault.
I would advise not to say anything.
Okay.
This is civil, we shouldn't say anything.
That's why we're in
I'm saying we gotta be careful here.
You have a cease and
careful.
desist order and it has not ceased and desist. That's why you still have a lawsuit. And I feel like that is why Mr. Hubbard keeps coming to the table with unprofessional attacks on me and keeps asking me multiple times in the city hall to withdraw my lawsuit. He has asked me multiple times. Have you not, Mr. Hubbard? Have you asked me several times?
I told you that your lawsuit was crazy, it's tearing the city apart.
Have you asked me several times to withdraw the lawsuit?
Not that I can remember. But I mean,
You
I'll say it. I'll say
never
it.
looked at me and said,
I'll say it, but
you
you
need
should
to
withdraw your
drop the
lawsuit.
okay, so you have multiple times asked me to withdraw this lawsuit.
Man, I don't remember every
So
conversation.
I
you
really
and I
feel
had.
like sometimes this has become to the point of harassment. And
I advise not to say anything.
so, and you can advise your client there, sir.
I would advise.
Okay, so I'm going to advise
For you have a
right now
lawsuit.
that we probably adjourn this meeting for the day. Do I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I get a second? So I would really prefer not to adjourn this meeting, but I will not be coming to this table again being attacked by someone who is not even an employee here on paper, who is getting paid.
Yeah, that's.
So we need to let the lawsuit be the lawsuit and quit bringing it to the council, please.
Mayor, can I make a comment, please?
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I just want to say, he's a big boy, he doesn't need to defend himself, he does a good job at it. The only thing is last meeting we had here, there was a citizen's request for him to give a timeline, and that's what he did. I understand what you're saying, okay, and there could be something to that or not, I don't know. But I do know that that's his opinion, what he wrote. If it needs to be changed or anything else, maybe you want to make your opinion. I don't think it's a big deal there. All he did was write down the way that he saw it, how it went down.
So the timeline,
And then we didn't even discuss that, and we got on to another agenda item. So I think we ought to stick to that and get through it.
well, the timeline was already discussed.
Mhm.
We're right
And you
now
pass it on,
at
ma'am.
the Carr Ingram, Briggs and Ingram, and the point of contact, and I think that's where we need to go back to. We need to keep
Great.
them, we need to stay on what we're supposed to be staying on here. And, people talking out of turn even after there's been asked point of order, people trying to answer questions when they don't have the floor. The back and forth needs to stop. You need to be following the Robert's Rules of Order. All of us. So we are going to move back to the Robert's Rules of Order. We're not going to talk when there's a point of order, and we're going to be called upon by the presiding officer before we start talking back and forth, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And we're all professionals here, and I find it very disappointing that this has moved into this today. So, the question at hand, as we have closed the citizens' comments, is the point of contact for the accounting firm. I have some reservations of only having one point of contact, just as has been discussed.
I continue to have that same concern. I don't think we should just have one person as the point of contact.
Mr. Smith.
I think we need one city administrator, just like we have in the paper.
Mr. Welling.
I agree.
You agree what?
Mr. Smith.
One point of contact with maybe a provision to come back to the council and address it, that we don't have that point of contact. If we find out the city administrator can't answer the call, we come back to the council and we handle it.
But I do agree that we all be CC'd on this communication so we know what's going on.
I agree with you, Mr. Welling, that we all need to be on all communications. We're all responsible for our budget. We all need information as to anything that's being discussed between Mr. Hubbard and the accounting firm. The accounting firm is being hired by contract by us, and we need to know what's going on. So I would say that, there's not personally one point of contact, and there's open, good, transparent communication. And we hold Mr. Hubbard accountable for that. So, someone wants to make a motion of specific motion on how to proceed with Carr, Ingram, Riggs and Ingram, point of contact.
I make a motion, based on what I said earlier, I would make a motion to appoint one point of contact, the city administrator, to Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. In the event he cannot be that contact, that the council would be notified.
Second.
Okay, Tammy, call the roll.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
No.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Welly? Okay.
I will be staying in contact with the Riggs one. Or Riggs. Okay, department report. Public Works Department.
Wait a minute.
I just, one thing, did everybody hear what the mayor said? After we just made that motion?
Yes.
Would you mind repeating that?
As the charter reads, until the charter does not read that way anymore longer, I will, as chief financial officer of the city, I will keep in contact with our accounting firm of contract, which I signed the contract for. Okay, any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Y'all just settle that and have them call me.
We're done. It's settled. We're done. I don't have to get permission. All right. Public Works.
Mayor, council, just one thing I'd like to bring up. Next week's Thanksgiving week. The sanitation crew will be off on Thanksgiving Day, so they can eat with their families. So basically, Monday and Tuesday's trash pickup will be regular pickup. Thursdays will be done on Wednesday. So if your trash is normally picked up on Thursday, it will be picked up on Wednesday. And then they will be off on Thursday for Thanksgiving, but they will be back on Friday for regular pickup. So just want to let everybody know, we had a little confusion last week and we tried to get it out, but, so if anybody listening, just remember next week, if your trash is picked up on Thursday, it will be picked up on Wednesday. And Fridays will be on Friday just like normal. That way they can, have the day off with their families.
Do you have any other reports for your department?
Other than we're getting caught up on a lot of our grass cutting, probably noticed, getting cleaned up different places. Christmas ornaments started going up this week, so we'll be ready after Thanksgiving to kick off Christmas. We'll be getting the Christmas tree set back up down at Parker Park, for the, I think, December 3rd, Chris, December 3rd kickoff. So everything's going along for this time of the year.
Bus stop grading? Bus stop grading?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
The
Yeah.
what?
Brag about y'all's bus stop break.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, that's a good thing, I forgot about that. Ms. Hamilton had asked me about, we had the bus stop down at First and Florida Avenue. We put it back over because we didn't want to pay for the great amount of money they wanted to build something to go over it. So we just put the bus stop back on, and Ms. Hamilton had asked me, she was kind of concerned. There is a hole under that. A lot of people did not know that. All these years, it covers the hole up for where all the pipe run together there for the stormwater. So at her request, we took and removed the bus stop and we put down steel grading up under it. And then we placed the bus stop back over the top of it. So now there's absolutely no way, probably a truck could drive through it and they're still not gonna fall in. But we did address that to her, and she's, I think you're satisfied now.
I settled it, yeah. And GCUC wanted to charge us $27,000 to do
Well, you
that.
gotta understand though, Ms. Hamilton, when they put their name on the line, it has to be engineered, David can tell you that. They would have had engineered all that and built something specs. What we done will do just as good, nobody will fall in it, and the city, will be covered, so.
And so we give special thanks and appreciation to Randy and Josh, who actually.
Yes,
did this
Randy,
work.
June, and Josh, went down there and they done that, they done it in a really timely manner. We removed it, completely put the grading down, and had it put back on there, and I think they were through by 9:30 that morning. So they did an excellent job on that.
It is excellent.
Thank you for that
Thank you.
report. Utility department?
I'm gonna talk for Glenn, because Glenn's not feeling well this morning. So, as far as just a few highlights from the utility department this past month is, one of my favorite things are new installations. There were 9 new installations this past month, so that's more revenue for the city there. We had 318 rereads for the month, 154 locates, 72 lift station checks, and 10 lift station pumps that had to be repaired. The biggest news for the utility department is the consent order was released. We are no longer under a consent order. FDEP released us from that. It was a great job from Glenn and all his guys in the utility department. Outstanding work getting out from underneath that consent order. But Glenn wanted to make sure that I let everybody know that a lot of the other employees in the Public Works Department assisted in doing everything that was necessary to get that accomplished. So, like everything else we do here at Mexico Beach, it was a team effort, and but just a really, really good job by our utility department guys and Public Works people in general. So appreciate y'all. Another thing to be aware of when it comes.
Excuse me just a minute.
Yeah.
That consent order, how many years had that been going on? At least 10? How many
Was it
years?
10?
2016.
2016.
Thank you.
Another thing in regards to the utility department, this, the citizens may see this. I know the fire department's been out testing their fire hydrants, but the utility department plans on blowing off a lot of water just to flush the system. So if you see a fire hydrant, exploding with water, out there, and our guys are standing around, that's why they're flushing the system out, making sure the water is circulated and clean and remains, where it needs to be as far as all the DEP safe water standards. So you'll see that start here in November.
Okay. Fire department? Mr. Walker?
we just go back to September real quick. We had the music in the park, thanks to everybody that was involved in that. By the time it was all done and dusted, between buying food and everything else, we came out with a profit of $2,906. That money has already been put to use during Fire Prevention Month in replacing batteries, checking smoke detectors, and putting up key boxes for those that asked for them. We do that year round, but we just make a point of telling everybody about it in Fire Prevention Month of October. So if you do know of anybody that does require smoke detectors, batteries being checked, and so on and so forth, or they want one of those key boxes that we put up so that we can make entry in an emergency, please let us know. We do it year round. The biggest move I have is, I think in May, I found a ladder truck. But it's a big May, but I have to move quickly. These things are literally like hen's teeth, and I've never found a hen's tooth yet. I was talking to the company that have it, and we will need to put down a 10% deposit. They're asking $400,000 for it. It basically is in extremely good condition. It's 2009. It basically ticks all the boxes for us. It's come from a small department up on the East Coast that is relatively lightly used for what it is. It's the right size for us. It will come with a 12-month warranty on drivetrain and so on and so forth. Not on the ladder, but it will be fully tested, both pump and ladder tested. What I do need to be able to do today, if possible, is to get agreement that we can put down a $40,000 deposit that is refundable if we decide not to go for the ladder once they sell it. Okay, so they would hold that $40,000 just with no penalty until they sell it if we decide not to go ahead with it. But just with the fact that I happen to be going away on Thursday, I do not want to miss the opportunity of getting a really good look at this truck and maybe bringing it down to Mexico Beach.
I heard you over and didn't want me to close the meeting. I didn't want to either. I'm glad we did.
Sorry, I missed that.
I said, I heard you over there not wanting to close the meeting. I
No,
definitely
exactly,
understand,
yes.
because
No,
we really need,
this to
these
me,
are important
if
things.
we miss this right now,
Yeah.
it could be, I don't know when I'll find another one. And that's, I'm literally, had you closed the meeting, I probably would have got up and said, can we just please do this? Because they are literally hen's teeth on that.
And how much is this truck?
I've talked to him, basically delivered, they're asking $400,000. There's a few things that they would do that we don't want done. Delivery, obviously, from where it is down here, it's going to come in just shy of $400,000. We have $500,000 in our state appropriations fund. The other $100,000 would then be basically to set up the truck, do any other things that we need to do to it, so the money is there to do all of that. It fits the budget that we have almost perfectly.
Okay.
And I think we would be wrong. I've only seen photographs of it, right? Okay, that's why I'm not saying we need to spend $400,000 today, but I don't want to miss the opportunity. The last one I found, somebody else had done exactly what I did. They had it on hold. We didn't get a look at it.
Okay.
So I said to him today that hopefully I'll be able to come back to him. So
do I bring it to the table?
if you'd like to.
So quick discussion to the table for the ladder truck, the 40,000?
40,000, yes.
Okay.
I think Cindy has everything nicely organized, and it should be a go.
Please get.
Mr. Wolf?
I'm good.
Okay.
You
So
go.
we'll do a motion to approve Hubbard and Mr. Hubbard and Mr. Walker to work on getting the $40,000 deposit on the ladder truck.
I'll make a motion to allow city staff to put a deposit down on the $400,000 fire truck.
A second.
Okay, can we call the roll?
Okay, Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
You got your 40,000.
Thank you.
Okay.
And just the other little hat that we wear, the Harbour Masters thing.
Yes.
Obviously this time of the year, as the weather changes, things slow down a little bit on that front. We did have a 5% increase on turnover from last year, which is going in the right direction. I haven't finished all the how would you put it, percentages for the whole year yet, but come December we'll have that. But we are up on last year. A little bit down on revenue at the slips, but way up on revenue at the boat ramp and obviously the boat wash as well. We are ahead in total between the 3 items this year and last year. So there's, and I'll explain then, why things have gone the way they've gone, what's been a good idea, what might need to be changed, and so on and so forth. But everything is good, how we managed to widen. Just one quick thing, thanks to Parks and Recs, we needed to widen one of the walkways on the, at the boat slip for the dive boat because it was a bit too narrow for them in their bottles. They did it again, just like we did with the grate, with in-house materials, had it done in a day. As always, good job done by all, and that's thanks to Tommy and his group. So
it's a great thing for all our departments working together. Okay, Sheriff's Department.
Not a lot to go on today and everything, but we do have the turkey trot coming up on Thanksgiving Day. We get up with Miss Kimberly about signing up for that, and it's 5K and short trip, early morning, get it over with, get it done, and move on about our business. But got to make some room before we go eat. December 3rd with the Christmas tree lighting, we also have the golf cart parade. And you see Miss Tracy Gaddis on that for applications and things like that to get in the golf cart parade. It was wonderful last year. We're hoping for an even better one this year. Right before Thanksgiving, we'll have our full-time person. We won't have a rotating person in. He'll be coming in. He's just got through with his training, do his checkoff rides the week before. And Ty Van Heerden will be coming here to Mexico Beach as a permanent fixture, as a deputy.
Okay. So who's right now there? You said he was...
We've got one that rotates in from
Okay.
other shifts to cover
Okay.
contract and everything
Gotcha.
else, but he'll be permanent and he's local.
Okay, good.
Any questions?
No. How's your department doing as far as tickets and speed?
I wasn't prepared for the
That's okay.
meeting, but
That's okay.
we'll get
I
you a
understand
listing
we'll-
on everything.
We'll make sure that happens every month. So, okay. Thank you for that reminder. If we can get those upcoming events posted on our website and also post on our Facebook, that would be nice too. So Ms. Gaddis can get some applications. Code enforcement?
Code enforcement is currently working on, or has already corrected 40 lots here in Mexico Beach that have been overgrown, in addition to the signs. I know that's been the 2 biggest issues here lately. A few of the things I want to talk about when it comes to code enforcement is some of the other things that she does, because I think, code enforcement, historically, the most public thing about them has been signs and overgrown lots. But she does a lot more than just that. She goes out and approves fence permits, and so she has to go to the lots, she has to measure, she has to look at what's been proposed, so she approves the fence permits. She does special events permits, making sure that all the department heads receive a copy and sign off on it, make sure everything's okay. If there's a special master case, which there was one here recently, she attends those hearings, compiling all the information. She monitors our boat launch daily, checks vehicles for the annual sticker, makes sure they're paid. If they don't have the stickers, then she issues the citations, follows up with them to make sure that they pay. And she covers our front office. Like whenever the ladies that generally cover the front office accepting payments or answering the phone, whenever they go to lunch, she helps cover there. So her job is very varied and spread around. And even whenever she's working on the code enforcement issues, like the signs and especially the overgrown lights, a lot of the things that she does require mailing to property owners who aren't here, like the overgrown lights. And then we mail certified, so that takes additional time. And if they come back, then we mail a second time before taking any action. One of the things I will let everybody know is that due to the visibility of the vacant lots, that I've already talked to her to keep me informed, on a regular basis of this issue. And anyone that doesn't comply within the allotted time, the city is going to go out and mow that lot and then just charge the homeowner. So we can try to get the city looking better. So that's all I have for code enforcement.
So Chris, can in the future you give us, have her give us a detail, how many tickets, how many things she's done as far as lots, and like they used to do. We used to have these numbers all the time on a regular basis.
I have something.
Yeah, go ahead.
On code enforcement, many citizens have expressed disappointment in the fact that we have not enforced what we said we would on the signs. You said October 25th, the signs would be taken down that were on vacant lots and right-of-ways. That has not been done. Although Kathy did have time to go to a home that had a sign up for 2 years since Biden came in office and tried to remove their sign, the Cox family, where it said, "My dog is smarter than Biden." She had time to remove that, but she didn't have time to go down the street to remove a sign that was almost on the street itself, clearly on the right-of-way. Didn't have time to do that, but was taken down, that sign. So, I'm very concerned and very disappointed that that was not enforced. That is an ordinance, and it was not enforced.
Okay. If you or any citizens are complaining to you, if you could have them contact me or contact Kathy direct, but contact me.
Seems like that's been done, but it still hasn't, the action hasn't been taken.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking you, if you see, or if citizens contact you, have them contact me direct.
And when they do, then what's your action? Because it just doesn't seem like it happens.
But we hope to get out there and do it, but you gotta understand that.
Do you think we need extra support? I know Kathy has had some hip issues, but does she need some supplement? As her supervisor, do you need to supply her with extra staff so that she can do her job adequately? That's what I'm hearing from citizens.
Okay.
Chris, I asked you earlier, probably in the last week or so, about the signs for contractors being up way before the 60-day LDC says. And I asked in May, I asked Kathy myself when I came in May, because I had people complaining already, I hadn't been in office but a few weeks, about signs being up on properties that did not, were not being built on at all. One on the left-hand side before you get to the, where they sell, rent out the equipment now. It's on that other lot, said that even in the future of being built on, there's a sign there. And then up on, across 8th Street, there's a J. Warren sign, and I think it's a camper lot for rent or camper something. I didn't read it. It's just a for sale sign. It's been on the phone, next to the phone post for weeks now. And anyway, when I asked you, was Mr. Warren building Toucans back with the next 60 days, you told me no. That sign is still there today.
I don't know if Warren is building Toucans or not. It might be the
If it's not, it don't need to be on Toucan's property. And what is the engineering company, CSI? SCE, yeah. SCE has put up a sign there since then. So you told me they weren't building in the next 60 days. Now we have 2 signs there, plus another for sale sign in front of that phone post. So I can see why citizens are complaining.
Well, you made your complaint to me on Thursday afternoon, so.
Yeah, it was last week, yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I made the complaint way before that too, in May and June and July, and then you in August, and now September and October, and we move on to December, November, we're gonna move into December, so it's been there for a long time. And it keeps adding to the concerns.
We'll address these issues.
Okay. All right, so you're on. Staff report, Mr. Hubbard.
One of the things from the last meeting is the council had directed me to send in a state appropriations request in order to rehab our parks. I just want to let everybody know that that was accomplished. So that is at the House. I'll still need to do the Senate request to get that taken care of, but we did beat the deadline for the House. Secondly, we had a situation occur with our trim notice. And when I say situation, we made a mistake. I'll take the blame for it because I based our trim wording on the previous year. I don't know if the state has changed their requirements, but whenever we adopted our millage rate, we adopted it at 5.99, and the state wants us to go out 4 decimal points after that. And so we're going to have to redo our hearing to adopt the millage rate. We only have 15 days of doing that from the time that we received the letter. So due to the issue of having to get it advertised in the newspaper, as well as hold the public hearing, and just like before, we have to have the public hearing within 5 days of it being in the newspaper. And then with Thanksgiving next week, we took the command decision, or I should say I took the command decision there at City Hall to go ahead and schedule this meeting for Monday, just to make sure that everything is available. So Monday at 2 o'clock, this will be the only thing on the agenda, and it will allow us to have the hearing again on our millage rate.
Are they gonna allow you a 2 o'clock meeting instead of 5?
I don't think so.
I'll have to check. I mean,
Because they require 501.
And we also require either 3 council or the mayor to call a special meeting. So that should have been communicated to me, and I would have definitely told you, yes, go ahead and call a special meeting, but that needs to be good communication between you and I, Chris.
Okay.
Okay. Monday's fine with me, but we ought to move to 5.
All right.
After 5.
I know that that's the requirement
Yeah, it is
usually, so
requirement.
I bet they're
During
gonna
the
do
regular one, I'm not sure about this one, they didn't mention that in the letter that I recall. Tammy, do you remember anything one time?
I think that's
I
state
would do it
statute.
I would do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's state
Okay.
statute. 501 has to be after business hours.
That's this Monday, this coming Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
This coming?
Yeah, the coming Monday.
I thought you were going to, sorry, 27. That's Thanksgiving. Right here. I'm gone.
20th, I'm gone, but I can come back.
I'll be here.
I'm not sure.
I mean, all it takes is 3,
Yeah,
and just like before, this is the only thing allowed to be on the agenda or discussed, so it shouldn't take but 2 minutes.
So when did the notice go out?
2 days ago?
And it has to be 5 days?
Yes, ma'am. If we have 3 here, I mean, there's no reason for you to come back for a 2-minute meeting if you're out of town. For as long as we have 3 other elected officials here.
It's just, they're just planning to do a state sale for my mother-in-law's house, and I was gonna help them, but it's not a big deal. So we can't have it any sooner. We couldn't do it Friday, 17th.
When's your ad running?
I think the ad was gonna run on Friday.
Run
Because
from
you have 2 to
Friday.
5, it's 2 to 5 days from the date of the ad.
Is there a better date for you guys? You said you weren't gonna be here.
I leave on
We can't do it
17th, I'll
Thursday
be
or
back till
Friday.
the 26th.
Okay.
Aiden, you gonna be here?
I'm here the 20th and 21st.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't know.
Well, you normally leave, I know you normally leave after Tuesday's meetings and don't come back.
That's right. So I'll be here Monday. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Jones.
Well.
Glad you keep
won't
up with
be
my
here
schedule.
Monday.
You won't be here
You
Monday.
won't be here Monday.
I won't be here Monday?
If you're leaving now, don't come back to the next meeting on the 28th. You
No,
won't be here
I'm
Monday.
gonna be here till Thanksgiving.
You're gonna be here until Thanksgiving this
Yes.
time? Okay.
Where's Tammy at?
Have you kept his schedule up, Pam?
Please.
You need to do a little bit better job.
Jerry, does it now
Do we
take
kn-
all 5, take care of you?
It take one good one and she's not here. I'll be here. I'll be here Monday. I'll be here till, I'll be here. Miss Hamilton.
If the mayor and the mayor pro tem is gonna be out of that meeting, then we probably need to appoint somebody to chair the meeting.
Ada will do a good job. What do you think, Miss Amy?
How about thank you?
That's right, we gonna thank you.
I'll be here, so y'all have to vote. I'll do my civic duty and even drive back if I have to. But I don't think I'll be gone. I mean, it's nothing that my family can't handle. All right. Mr. McCahill, or Mr. Hubbard, anything else? I'm sorry.
Well, I have one thing, well, I have two things, but one very serious thing is for the past 2 days I've been dealing with an investigator from FEMA. And people have been complaining to FEMA about, the typical conspiracy theories of people stealing money here and FEMA funds and bids being done wrong and various issues like that. So I want people to know that if you're making complaints like this in order to try to damage the city to help, your political career, your future political career, help the politicians that you support, that one of the things that's going to do is it's going to have a ripple effect in the future. That if you're calling FEMA now and saying that, the city is misspending the money or misusing the money or money's turning up missing or we're, making people rich who shouldn't be, getting rich or not doing bids properly. In the future, if a storm hits Mexico Beach, FEMA's going to say, well, we've got all these reports of wrongdoing, so maybe we don't need to, send them all this money. Or maybe, we won't send them money right away because, they obviously couldn't take care of the money before. So we're going to wait until we mobilize, and when we get there in 3 or 4 weeks, then we'll just take the money with us. So if you're making complaints to these other organizations because you don't like something going on here, just realize that it has long-term effects or potential long-term effects. And I just want to put that out there because sometimes people don't think beyond next week, and it could have some very, very bad negative long-term effects on the city. So anyway, there's nothing at the city that is hidden. Anything that you guys want, anything an elected official wants, you can have if you come to the city and ask for it. The only thing you can't have is information covered by the Privacy Act. If you, contact FEMA or another agency, making a complaint, and you've not come talk to me, then I promise you don't have the full story. If you haven't come to City Hall, because I see we have a room full of people here 2 times a month with people wanting information, but I never see anybody at City Hall 5 days out of the week. All your answers are right over there. Nobody's hiding anything. Nobody's keeping things secret. Like I said, the mayor, all the elected officials, the citizens, anything you want that's not covered by the Privacy Act, you can have. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. If somebody tells you they can't give it to you, then come see me. I'll get it for you while you stand there and wait. I promise you. But before you make complaints against the city, think about the long-term repercussions, because it's possible.
Okay.
So Chris, is that an opinion or a fact? That if people complain that FEMA's going to hold money, how do you get that justification?
From talking to people. Would you give people, you personally,
Okay.
would you give money to people who stole money the last time?
Please. Okay. I would like to say something. From now on, I think that you need to address the council first off. You don't address the citizens, okay? Secondly, that is another accusation in the undertones of it's very unprofessional, and I find this continuing over and over again, Mr. Hubbard, in your behaviors. And you and I had a discussion the other day, and I did tell you you're very arrogant, and you agreed with me that you're very arrogant. You cannot bring that arrogance to this table. You either be professional and don't bring stuff to this table that's controversial like that is your opinion, and keep talking about conspiracy theories, because there's no conspiracy theory that I know of. Now, I'm going to let Miss Linda address you, and I'll let you address her back. But we're going to do it in a proper format. Linda?
I just feel like the comments you just made is a form of bullying the citizens. You're trying to say, if you complain too much, FEMA's going to hold the money for the next hurricane. You don't know that to be a fact. You're just pulling that out of your head as an opinion. Your turn. You get to defend that statement.
I got no comment.
I have a question. Mr. McCahill, did you advise your client?
Excuse me?
Did you advise your client
Advise my client what?
about this talking about FEMA? Just a yes or no.
I was never asked by
Okay.
anybody.
That's enough, okay.
I didn't know that was happening.
Well,
Hubbard's not Mr. Cahill's client. Counselor.
Exactly, that's my point, when he keeps giving him legal advice.
I was never giving anybody legal advice. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. McCahill, you sit at this table, your job at this table is to give the council legal advice, and there's been several times you've given the administrators legal advice.
I
So-
said today that I would caution anyone here at this table to discuss anything that had anything that might have something to do with the lawsuit that is currently pending.
Yeah,
That's all I
the
said.
4 of us are being sued. That's what I think a lot of you don't understand. The 4 of us, not the 3, 4.
And not the city administrator.
I
So, then,
cautioned anyone at the
Okay.
table that I would be careful about talking about issues that may be involved in that litigation. That's all I said.
Okay. Today, go ahead.
The thing I picked up what Chris said, and I don't know, him and Miss Hamilton, I understand what she's come back to say, but I think, to me, he said to the citizens, which, you know, it's his turn to speak. So, he said that if you had a problem, come to City Hall. And he would get it for you.
He can advise us to have citizens, I mean, he can talk, but he doesn't need to be talking to the citizens, and it's not
On
appropriate.
his staff report, and like me, he would have a right to
But anyway,
speak.
yeah, he did. Okay, happy. You have anything?
Are we on council comment?
No?
Okay.
Any comments? Okay. Mr. Wolf?
Right about this subject. Thank you.
Good, thank you. All right. Chris, you said you had one more?
Nah, that's good. I'm done.
Okay. Mr. McCahill, anything?
No, ma'am.
Now we're at his council. Start over here. Mr. Smith, do you have any council concerns or anything you want to address?
I do one thing. I noticed we have a lot of people playing at our park, or at my park, so.
One of it, you're talking about under the poles?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people's coming, and one of my neighbors' dog, I know this ain't.
It's okay. It's your
I'm
moment.
I'm a dog person, but she, her dog won first or second place at something. The lady that works at the, I can't.
Angel.
Angel. Thank you, Tammy. Angel's dog won, so to me, that's an achievement, because we have a dog now that's really moving forward. And it's a smart dog. Thank you. Smart dog, right, Steve?
That's right, dogs are important. I got one.
Anything
I'm
else?
good.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I have is we as a council continue to violate our resolution establishing our meeting agendas. Can we get this resolution brought back and rewritten? Because every meeting our agenda is different, and we have a resolution that tells us how it's supposed to be. So either we change the resolution or go back to how it's written.
That should have been on this actual meeting, because we talked about it last time, we gave direction, but.
That's my only, yes, I'm like, keep it on the forefront,
Yep.
that we continue to
There's
violate this.
Several things that we need to bring to the forefront.
Yeah, again, molding mats. We need to place them.
That's on the list too.
Place them, we have them.
Well, we have to get DEP permits. I spoke to Dewberry probably a couple months ago, and then with the RFQs and Dewberry not responding, the permit applications never went anywhere. So whenever we hire another engineering firm, then we'll move forward with that. Believe me, there's a lot of engineering tasks that we need to have accomplished right now.
When did your contract end?
December 4th.
Okay, so why are they not responding?
Well, that's not 100% true. I've worked on these molding mat issues when Michael was here. Tim Linderman was trying to get them done. I worked with
Kimberly,
yeah, sorry. I've contacted DEP, and they told me basically they will not allow them to go any further seaward than the front end, which is basically where the walkovers end right now, which is where the ramp at Sunset Park ends right now. So what I told them was, the initial place they wanted to put them was from the end of Sunset Park toward the water. Can't do that. I said, give me another location where you want to put it. Kimberly suggested on 37th Street with North Piers getting redone. And so I went back to DEP with that, but basically he said, you know, you've got to do the application. You've got to give them a permit. They're not going to give us any definite answer until we do a permit, which is fine, but for us to do the permit, part of the application for the CCL is you have to have an updated survey. And then we've got to go through a bunch of different hoops we got to jump through. So it's probably going to be around $7,500 for the permit application. So, I mean, if the city wants to give us a definite location where they want to try to put them, we can submit that and move forward. No guarantee it's going to happen.
Yeah, I apologize to David. I didn't mean to make it sound like, you
No,
know, he
no,
hadn't
you're
contacted me at all, but
Yeah.
there has been communication back and forth. It's just the actual permit itself, the application process hasn't started yet.
Can we call, can we call Port St. Joe and see how their process went and maybe see how they got it done?
Well, if you look, you talking Gulf County District right now?
Yeah, I know.
Their mats start from basically the right of way on 98. They don't go any further seaward than that dune, which is exactly where the walkover to Mexico Beach end right now. So you probably wouldn't have needed a permit for that. Well, I'm not gonna say what they did or didn't do, but they probably just put them out there. But because it's not going any further than that front dune, no one ever pushing an issue. And on top of that, the CCL line, the way it cuts through Mexico Beach is basically it's on the north side of 98. So everything from that line in needs a permit, no matter what you do.
And the beach is a little different as it moves.
Yeah, and it kind of meanders a little bit more as you get down toward Old Canal Parkway, it kind of cuts in some. But,
So it would benefit us to find an area that's close to 98 sand-wise going back towards the dune?
Parking is what we got to realize there on that Moby map. Like, that's why we had Sunset Park, and that's why Kimberly, that's here we have parking, handicap parking, that's the reason why. So we just can't pick but just a few places.
Yeah.
And it's not that this don't happen over this. I thought they done applied for it when Mario was here.
Well,
We've heard a lot about that, so.
I got a copy of the application that Mario signed, and it was incomplete. So the DEP probably just didn't do anything with it because it was incomplete. It didn't have the survey, it didn't have the certifications. It was just basically, we want to put a Moby mat down, Mario gets it.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that everything's done properly as far as the permitting is concerned, instead of, you know, potentially just going out and laying them on the ground, because, you know, we've got two very big projects that we're gonna need DEP's approval on, the pier and the jetties. And so the last thing we want to do right now is upset DEP.
Okay.
I mean, in the meantime, you can use them. If you've got anywhere else around the city you need to stabilize the ground for handicap access in one of the parks or something, you can use them there until the DEP, you got to decide what you want to do on the beach side and then move them if you need to. Kimberly, she spoke to Panama City, and I think they had some issues with just getting covered up with sand, and so they eventually just pulled them up.
So we have spoken about things that are kind of like old business that's not being kept up with. I went back since I've been mayor and looked at all the agendas since, and I have 50 items that have been brought up that have not gone into fruition of doing anything. So I'll be bringing those items to the council, just so we can start learning to keep up with and not let these things die. Because, you know, we have several times have directed our city administrator, whether it was previous or current, and to do something, you know, those 50 items didn't all come from Chris, that, you know, just kind of like fell off the radar. So when we redo the
Well, that resolution allows any of us to add to the agenda, so we can hold ourselves responsible to follow up on that.
Yeah, well, we need to also, maybe it would help if we changed our agenda to have an item of old business so we can keep up with that, and Tammy could keep it on that until that falls off. And that's most of the way Robert's Rule agendas usually run. You have old business, new business. So anything else, Mr. Wolf? You good? Thank you. Okay. So I want to move to some good news and some positive here under my mayor's comments. You know, back in June, I think it's June. No, it may have been, yeah, I think it's June. Anyway, I went and spoke with Jay Trumbull and Griff Griffiths and asked them to do us a JLAC letter for an audit. And they turned me down. They then, I came back to council, Mr. Welly opened it up, and I seen an opportunity here for the council to approve and ask for that. So we did. I waited a couple weeks, didn't hear any movement, so I'll send out those letters to Trumbull and Griffiths. And I got notification that they're moving that to JLAC's agenda on December 11th. So we have made some progress. Now, I don't know where to go from their agenda. At least we have someone standing up for Mexico Beach, our representative and senator, standing up for us and going to ask for our JLAC audit. And I think that's wonderful news. All right, citizens' comments?
I'm going to kind of switch gears. Your comment about your building department, your building inspector. Let's be clear, because Bo Krill is a building inspector. He is not a licensed building official. But you said that you had a situation where the wrong house was put on the wrong piece of property. It flipped.
No, they just flipped, it's the right piece of property, they flipped it, but it made, when they flipped it, too close to the property.
Okay. Just to let you know, it's kind of interesting because I used to serve on the PDRB board for Port St. Joe, and we had a similar situation. And there wasn't a notification that went out to the next door neighbor, and so it became a thing. I just really, you talk about the 50 items. I think that's one of the things you really need to look at as a council. It impacts your insurance rates. You're getting a new fire truck, which is great, but these are the things. The other thing that I want to commend you on is your process for a motion, a second, discussion, and citizens to be heard. That is hugely important. The last meeting over in Port St. Joe, we didn't have that happen. And I was a little surprised that the city attorney didn't call. So all those agenda items that were voted on, there was not, when the motion was made and the second was made, and there were items that the public wanted to speak on, and I have witnesses back here to attest to what I'm saying, the mayor did not allow the citizens to speak on agenda items. He held everything, and so then you've got 3 minutes to make your comments on all the agenda items that were already voted on. That should never happen, ever. And so, just again, process is important, and you need to hold everyone that has licenses to make sure that everything be done according to the law and the way the process runs. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say to that, all items should have citizens' comment regardless of whether they're just a discussion or they're a voting item. So hopefully in the future, if we don't have it on paper, I'll just make sure that I write it down so I don't forget to reach out.
And that's not Robert's rules, that's our rule, right?
What's that?
That's our rule. We allow citizens' comments. Other municipalities and counties don't because we've done it.
Yeah, we've always done it. We've always had citizens' comments.
And if it's an agenda item
Yep.
and it's being voted on, you have to allow the citizens to speak.
And I think the council all agrees here that we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from anyone who has input, wants to give input. And like I said, I'm sorry, there was a couple that didn't have my format on there, so I missed the citizens' comment. Well, Mr. Wolf had resent his thing, and I would do appreciate that too, make things go forward. Yes, sir.
Bill Hamilton, 212 Howard 98. 2 items. One, several months ago, the council approved putting in a sound system for all the council members on the podium. I've missed along with this meeting already.
Yeah.
And I do have fresh batteries in my hearing aids. It seems like it's taking an extraordinary amount of time. It's not like to do it in an IMAX theater. Light power underneath them, try to push them to completion.
The reason why it's not been installed yet is because the Bay County IT department recommended against it. They're scared that because of this room being so small, to not do the microphones. We start off with speakers, you know, in the back.
Yeah.
And that way the people in the rear of the room can hear through the speakers. People in the front of the room should be able to hear us speak. But, you know, we're coordinating all this with Bay IT, so, I mean, that's, I'll contact them again and we'll see if we can get the speakers up. But they recommended against the microphones because they're afraid that in this small of a room, the microphones would create an echo effect on tape and people wouldn't be able to hear it properly.
So let us stand still. Or try to find a solution.
Well, I'll contact them again. And we'll go forward from there.
And that was one of my 50 items.
Number two, and this is not a conspiracy theory or anything like that, but just have a nagging suspicion and like a clarification that the city and taxpayers are not subsidizing some of these developments. And like the accountability of the income of the impact fees that have been collected and how they've been spent. So it should be neutral, so the citizens don't have to subsidize a lot of these developments going on. It shouldn't be that difficult to go public with it and put a lot of people at risk on what's really going on. Thanks.
I was just saying, I'm going to answer that, I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's easy to run a report on that, and you're going to see that we have grossly not spent that money.
No,
We have a lot sitting.
yeah, that's something to discuss at this coming budget year.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But, you know, as I mentioned, I printed off every bank statement since this past April. So if the citizens think there's anything suspicious going on, money spent where it shouldn't be, I'll give you copies of the bank statements. Like I said, you can see everything that's came out of every account that the city has going back to April. I'll just need time to blacken out the account numbers. You're more than welcome to it. It's all public record.
Yeah.
Steve Cox, Charles Corner. The old 22 audit that's been the bone of contention among taxpayers and council and delays. I'm not an attorney, I'm certainly not an accountant, but it would seem to me that the state requires that I understand it, that we have our financial house in order and our stuff to the auditor by June 30th, which seems to me a long time. Could the city not do something ordinance-wise to say we keep our ship in line? And I'm saying this just from what can happen when an election happens in April. That if we've got from October 1st till April 1st, the city should have their house in order enough that we get in way ahead of the time. We're not talking about a $400 million budget. We're talking about a $4 or $5, $6 million budget. So it would seem to me if we've got our financial ducks in a row, we should be able to get our stuff to the auditor in less than 6 months. And I say that not to be inflammatory toward anyone, current, previous, or future. But I just think as a citizen, we would expect that we have to keep our finances in more order than that, and we would challenge the council to do the same.
And I would just say this goes back a long time, back to when I left. I didn't have the 18 done on time because I had left and I was busy dealing with a hurricane. So then there was 3 clerks after me that didn't do a single audit, and then we split the position, and it was a lot of catch up that happened. So I think once we're caught up, that'll be the plan.
Understand, but just for peace.
Hey, but I'm taking part of the blame. I'm taking part of the blame, so 18 was me.
If you go back and look in the minutes, the first meeting of February was when our auditing company, James Moore, came to the city council to do their presentation for the fiscal year 21 budget. So, you know, that tells you that everything was running late, you know, like Mr. Willie said, you know, because of the hurricane.
I understand, but I'm just talking, you can't really, you've got to kind of get your house in order so it never happens again.
Hopefully that's what I think this council's done a good job to push forward and ask for the CPA firm versus an individual. And, you know, we will probably move to an individual in the future, you know, in-house, full-time, like Mr. Welly has mentioned several times. But right now, we need this to get caught up, and I think we're in the right direction based on, you know, the council here. All right, any other citizens' comments? Okay. So upcoming meetings, I'll close the citizens' comments. Upcoming meetings is city council meeting, of course, next Monday at 5:01. And then the next one is November 28th at 6 p.m. And then the following, last one for December in the year will be Tuesday, December 12th at 9 a.m. So, any questions? Okay, I'm going to move to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.